Hey guys, tonight we're diving into the hottest desert mystery that doesn't involve burning man groups or influencer retreats. Picture this. You're standing in 14th century Mali, sweat trickling down your neck like melted wax, 1,000 camels grown under salt bricks, worth more than your student loans. Historians agree Mansa Musa's caravan had over 60 tons of the stuff, which explains why your imaginary back already hurts. But here's the thing, you probably won't survive this. Not because of bandits or dehydration, but because you'd immediately try to Instagram a scorpion. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. But only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Seriously, tap that bell. It's less effort than lugging a 40-pound salt brick across the Sahara. Drop a comment with your location and local time. Let's see who's braving midnight blizzards or 3 a.m. existential crises to join this caravan. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. The sun hangs low, a molten coin fusing sky to sand. You adjust your turban, fabric scratchy against salt-crusted skin. Behind you, the mud walls of Timbuktu shrink into specks, a child's forgotten toys. Ahead lies nothing but gold, not literal gold, obviously, just a bajillion dunes stretching like a lazy cat. Camels sway like drunk metronomes, their grumbles harmonizing with clinking salt sacks. Fun fact, their saliva was the ancient world's Red Bull. Traders chewed dried camel spit for energy boosts. Tastes like regret and bad life choices, probably. Your guide, a man named Bakari with eyebrows that could hold their own TED Talk, mutters about jinns hiding in heat waves. You laugh until the horizon blurs into liquid mercury. 1 minute you're counting camels, the next 61, 62, wait, where'd 63 go? Historians still argue whether Musa's caravan had 12,000 or 20,000 beasts. Right now, you'd settle for not losing number 64. The sand shifts underfoot, squeaky yet stubborn, like wet socks. Your water skin sloshes a taunt against your hip. You'll ration it, obviously. By midday, you're sipping dust and questioning all your life decisions. Bakari points to a vulture circling overhead. Good luck, he says. You're pretty sure he's messing with you, but your tongue's too swollen to argue. Shadows stretch longer, ink blots swallowing the caravan. Someone starts a fire, sparks dancing with the first stars. The air cools, carrying whispers of cumin and burnt honey. You overhear 2 salt bearers arguing about whether scorpion venom cures baldness. Turns out ancient skincare secrets were intense. As night deepens, Bakari gestures to the Southern Cross. Stars are the desert's road signs, he says. You squint, constellations blur into a connect the dots. Only the universe understands. A shooting star streaks past. You make a wish, hoping it's not a dehydrated hallucination. Around the fire, a storyteller recounts Musa's golden hatch, how he flooded Cairo's economy with so much gold it devalued for a decade. Your fingers brush the salt bricks. They're rough, glittering faintly like diamonds raised by wolves. The camels huddle, their breath frosting in the sudden chill. Bakari tosses you a date stuffed with almonds. It's sticky, sweet, and vaguely metallic, either from the sand or your own blood. You don't ask. Wind picks up, howling through the dunes like a forgotten dirge. The fire gutters. For a heartbeat, the darkness feels alive, breathing, watching, waiting. Then the flames surge back, and the moment cracks like burnt kindling. Bakari nods toward the eastern horizon. Dawn's coming. You don't see it, just an endless void where sky and sand elope. But the camels stir, sensing something in the unseen. Their bells jingle, a sound you'll later associate with stubborn hope. You take one last swig of warm water. It tastes like the inside of a clay pot. Somewhere ahead, a sandfox yips. Bakari grins, teeth flashing in the firelight. They're laughing at us, he says. You almost believe him. The stars fade, swallowed by a sky turning the color of bruised peaches. Salt crunches underfoot as the caravan lurches forward. Your shadow stretches long and thin, a weary scribble trailing behind. The air smells of burnt toast and impending sunburn. Bakari chants under his breath, a prayer or a curse, you can't tell. The first sliver of sun emerges, painting the dunes in molten copper. You squint. The desert winks back, an endless sea of gold, thirsty and vast, and utterly indifferent to your existence. Camels groan, their complaints echoing your own. 64 steps later, you realize you're counting again. 65, 66. The rhythm matches your pulse, a stubborn drumbeat beneath layers of cloth and dust. Somewhere far off, a bird shrieks. Bakari doesn't look up. Hoopoe, he says, messenger of kings. You file that under things that sound poetic, but probably mean bad news. The sun climbs higher, a wrathful god reclaiming its throne. Heat shimmers rise like ghostly cobras. Your lips crack. The salt on your tongue tastes like the ocean's sarcastic farewell. Bakari offers a wrinkled olive. It's the best thing you've ever eaten. By noon, the world dissolves into a white-hot scream. Your thoughts blur, half memory, half mirage. Did Timbuktu have plum trees? Why do camels have those infuriating eyelashes? Was the date poisoned? A sudden shout snaps you back. A camel kneels, not metaphorically, its legs folding like a house of cards. Bakari mutters a string of words that make your grandma faint. The caravan halts. No one speaks as they redistribute salt sacks. The fallen beast watches, eyes liquid and unreadable. Its breath comes in shallow rasps, a broken bellows. You look away before it stops. Bakari grips your shoulder. The desert takes, he says. But sometimes he trails off, squinting at the horizon. A line of dust spirals upward, maybe a whirlwind, maybe something else. You march on. The sun relents, slipping toward the west like a guilty thief. Shadows lengthen, indigo pools gathering in the dune's folds. Someone hums a tune you swear you've heard before. In an airport lounge, a childhood road trip, the melody slips away, stolen by the wind. Bakari nods at a cluster of rocks ahead. We rest there. The word rest feels mythical, a unicorn wearing pajamas. You collapse against a boulder, its surface still radiating oven-like warmth. The moon rises, a bone-white sickle smirking at your sunburn. Bakari hands you a clay cup. The liquid inside smells like fermented disappointment. You drink it anyway. Stars wheel overhead, cold and meticulous. The fire's down to embers, breathing faint orange sighs. A camel snores. Somewhere, a sandstorm whispers promises to the horizon. You close your eyes, just for a second, and the desert swallows the pause hole. The molten sun hardens into a white-hot blade overhead. Your shadow shrinks to a puddle at your feet. Camels snort dust as the once distant dunes loom like waves, frozen mid-crash. A scout spits. It vaporizes before hitting the sand. Historians note salt traders averaged 10 miles a day in this furnace. Right now, you'd kill for half that. Your water skin sloshes treacherously, sipping feels like gulping liquid tin. You stare at the horizon, where shade once promised relief. Now, it's just haze, a taunting blur of silver and ache. Remember those ostrich egg canteens the guides mentioned. Turns out those giant shells kept water cool for days. Too bad yours shattered 2 miles back. Now you're down to luck and spit. Bones emerge underfoot, a ribcage half buried like some fossilized canoe. More follow, skulls grinning up with sand-packed eye sockets. The camels sidestep them without breaking rhythm, as if death's just another pebble on the trail. Scouts argue in low tones, overheard words carved deeper than thirst. Dry wells, miscalculations, turn back. One man peels off his turban. The fabric unravels to reveal a patchwork of old maps. His finger traces routes inked in oxblood and indigo. 3 days, march northwest, he insists, though northwest stopped meaning anything hours ago. Historians still argue whether those maps held decoy routes to thwart rivals, or if the cartographers just got as lost as you. A child points to vultures wheeling ahead. Their shadows stitch the sand like black embroidery. The heat melts your skepticism. Why not follow Death's scouts? At least they're moving. Nightfall brings no coolness, only darkness you can chew. The stars here feel closer, like salt grains scattered on a jeweler's cloth. You count them to stay awake. 19, 20, 20. What's that sound? A rasping wheeze cuts through camp. The lead camel sags to its knees. Its handler sings a gravelly lullaby as the beast's breath slow. No one mentions the lost cargo. Dawn cracks the sky. Another cairn marks the trail. This one's topped with a salt brick and a single date pit. You wonder who pocketed the fruit, and if it's worth drawing a blade over. Your tongue swells at the thought, sweetness remembered, bitterness endured. The scouts return with cracked lips and emptier water skins. One clutches a clay shard, its surface etched with spirals that mimic whirlpools. Found it near a well that's been dust for centuries, he croaks. You turn it over, the markings glow faintly in the light. A joke forms about ancient Yelp reviews, but your throat's too raw to laugh. Someone starts chanting, a dry-throated hymn to some forgotten rain god. Others join in, voices rasping like sandpaper on stone. The camels blink their long lashes, either moved by the prayer or just shielding their eyes from grit. You press onward, each step crunching the debate between faith and futility. The dunes spread endless before you, a hunger no feast could ever satisfy. The stars prick through the velvet dark, their patterns sharper than a scribe's quill. Your blistered fingers brush against torn parchment, found earlier, its edges brittle as betrayal. The mapmaker squints at jagged symbols, each mark glowing faintly under starlight like breadcrumbs for the doomed. See how these angles match Orion's belt, he rasps, tracing constellations. Only he understands. A camel snorts nearby, its breath frosting in the sudden chill. Nights here bite harder than a tax collector. Your sweat-soaked robes now cling like icy shackles. The mapmaker mutters about celestial codes used by Mansa Musa's navigators. Historians agree his caravans relied on stars to cross deserts wider than empires. But these symbols resemble no Arabic script you've seen, more like termite tracks on old wood. Someone tosses another acacia branch into the fire. The sparks spiral upward to flirt with the Milky Way. Wonder if the stars ever get lost, a voice jokes, its owner's face hidden by shadows. The mapmaker doesn't laugh. He's too busy comparing the parchment to a wax tablet etched with lunar phases, both trembling in his grip. Your mind drifts to Timbuktu's libraries, those vaults of crumbling manuscripts guarded by scholars who'd rather eat sand than share secrets. Legends say some star maps their chart, invisible rivers beneath the dunes, waterways paved with ghostly salt. You mention it, the mapmaker scowls. Superstition, he snaps. Yet his finger lingers on a symbol shaped like a well. Midnight hollows the air, the fire shrinks to a reluctant smolder. The mapmaker suddenly jabs at the parchment. Here, the lion's paw constellation, it shifts here when underground springs are near. His excitement smells like desperation. Historians still argue whether these star codes were practical guides or just bedtime stories for gullible traders. You peer at the sky. Leo's stars form a lopsided semicircle tonight. Or is that a sneeze? Astronomy's harder when your eyelids weigh more than elephant tusks. The mapmaker insists you veer west toward a dune shaped like a sleeping lion. Mansa Musa's scouts marked it, he says, though the dune ahead resembles a decomposing melon. Dawn bleeds into the horizon. The stars fade like ink in water. By daylight, the map's symbols vanish, leaving blank parchment and doubt. They'll return tonight, the mapmaker insists, rolling the scroll with trembling hands. Someone mutters about mirages of the mind. You swallow a retort, your tongues too swollen for philosophical debates. The sun climbs, its glare erases all shadows. You walk a tightrope between trust and survival, each step sinking deeper into the mapmaker's fragile reality. That's when the vulture appears, a speck at first, then a circling sentinel. The mapmaker grins. See, they follow water too. No one mentions the bones beneath its flight path. At camp, a trader offers a handful of almonds for a peek at the map. His grin reveals 3 teeth and a lifetime of bad decisions. You decline. The parchment stays hidden, its secrets wrapped in leather and paranoia. Nights ago, this would have felt dramatic. Now it's just another ration to guard. The cold returns, a thief stealing body heat. You huddle close to the camels, their fur stinks of salt and stubbornness. The mapmaker recites star names like lullabies, Vega and Teres, words that taste like distant rivers. Historians know Mansa Musa's pilgrims carried astrolabes of brass and ivory. But tonight, your compass is a ripped scrap, and one man's cracking faith. A sand fox yips in the dark. Its cry mimics a child's laughter. The mapmaker claims desert foxes guide lost souls to oases or to their graves. A skeptic grumbles, licking cracks in his lips. The parchment rustles, its unseen symbols now shouting in the silence. You count stars again, 63, 64. Did that one just flicker? Wind stirs, the fire dies mid-breath. In the sudden blackness, the mapmaker grips your arm. The lion's paw it's moved. His whisper carves through the cold. You squint upward, constellations blur into a smear of silver. Maybe the lion's winking. Maybe it's just the grit in your eyes. Morning breaks. The mapmaker strides ahead, driven by some cosmic certainty. You follow because what's the alternative? Stubbornness tastes better than surrender. By noon, scouts shout. A limestone pillar juts from the dunes. Its surface shows weathered carvings, a man holding a star chart, surrounded by lions. The mapmaker whoops, a sound so foreign, it scatters the vultures. You trace the ancient figure's chiseled robe. Its folds mirror the symbols on your parchment. A mainstream fact clicks. Mansa Musa's reign birthed some of Africa's first celestial maps. But this stone predates him by centuries. The mapmaker doesn't care. He's already calculating the next constellation's rise. As heat throttles the sky, you unroll the parchment again. Its blank surface mocks you. Maybe the ink only appears under starlight. Maybe madness does too. The camels plod onward, their humps swaying like metronomes. Somewhere ahead, a dune shifts, its silhouette now uncannily leonine. Or is that sleep deprivation's cruel joke? The mapmaker hasn't slept in days. His eyes gleam like over-polished obsidian. He claims the stars will sing their root at moonrise. You're too tired to ask what key they'll sing in. The desert swallows the question anyway, its infinite yawn stretching far beyond your fragile scrap of parchment. The horizon shimmers like molten glass. Heat waves warp the air into liquid gold. Your eyes sting Each blink smears the world into a watercolor of lies. That's the Sahara's favorite trick. Reality as a suggestion. A scout points north, her hand trembling at a flicker of movement. Riders, she whispers. But the shapes melt, reforming into dancing columns of light. Mirages here toy with travelers worse than a cat with a crippled mouse. You remember Ibn Battuta's journals. The 14th century explorer wrote of phantom caravans stalking his crew. Mainstream scholars shrug, say it's just heat delirium. Try telling that to your parched tongue. The map maker squints, his cracked lips mouthing calculations. Refraction, he mutters. Sunlight bending over hot sand. A gust drowns his lecture. The dunes ahead ripple their crests, folding like origami in a furnace. Someone gasps. A silhouette materializes. A robed figure atop a non-existent dune. Its outline wavers, glimpsed between heartbeats. Gold threads pulse across its cloak like migrating fireflies. Legends whisper of Mirage kings, ghostly rulers who lure the thirsty to imaginary oases. Quirky, sure, but your canteen's down to warm dregs you're half tempted to follow. The figure raises a hand, palm upturned. A chill skitters down your spine despite the heat. Historians still argue whether these visions stem from dried eyeballs or the desert itself, remembering its dead. The map maker barks a laugh. Mirage, that's no mirage, that's a Tuareg scout. He grabs a spyglass. The lens burns his cheek. You peer through it. The glass shows only rippling air. When you lower it, the figure's gone. In its place, a row of stone pillars glinting like crooked teeth. They weren't there before, a porter insists. No one agrees on what before means anymore. Noon unleashes its wrath. The sun, a furious pupil in the sky's scorched eye. You trudge downhill, boots sinking into sand that hissed at dawn. The map maker fans his face with the parchment, its symbols still invisible. Clever, he croaks. Ink made from crushed scorpion shells. Appears at specific temperatures. His throat clicks, a broken pump. Shadows pool beneath a rock outcrop. You collapse into the false twilight. Someone offers a sip from their canteen. It's mostly backwash and hope. The map maker unrolls his parchment again, weeping when it stays blank. That's when you spot them. Golden streaks under the rock veins of salt left by ancient lakes. Mainstream fact. This desert was once a seabed. Now it's just a graveyard with good branding. The scout screams. You lurch up, the horizon's alive with galloping shadows. 30, 50. The shapes have no riders, no camels, just the suggestion of speed. They crest a dune, dissolving into glittering mist. Sand sprites, a trader jokes, nervously clutching his amulet. The map maker isn't laughing. He's sketching frantically, his charcoal snapping under pressure. You swat a fly, it explodes into dust. Hallucination or insect, the lines getting blurry. A child giggles, no children are in your caravan. The giggle morphs into the wind's mournful howl. Classic Sahara gaslighting. The shadow figure reappears, closer now. Its robe billows without breeze, fabric woven from sunlight and spite. One hand points northwest. Your mapmaker lunges toward it, tripping over his own sandals. Wait, he yells at the emptiness. Show me the code. You grab his shoulder. His bones feel hollow as bird wings. It's not real, you say, less convinced by the word real every hour. He shakes free. Mansa Musa's men wrote of these, guides, not ghosts. Scholars debate that too were the tailies metaphor. Madness, tax evasion, dusk comes grudgingly, the sky bruised purple and petulant. The figure materializes one last time, a sentinel at the day's edge. It steps sideways, vanishing behind a dune. You give chase, boots skidding on sand, as steep as a roof. The mapmaker wheezes behind you, his breath a dying accordion. At the summit, you find only a circle of blackened stones. In the center, a palm-sized obsidian figurine of a man holding a cup. The mapmaker snatches it. His thumb traces the cup's rim. A rain gauge, he whispers, from the Garamantes. Your spine tingles. The Garamantes, ancient Saharan engineers who mined fossil water with tunnels. Their cities now lie buried under dust and denial. Quirky tidbit, some theorists claim they communicated with Mirage kings. The figurines, eyes gleam empty sockets, reflecting your sunburned face. Night falls like a guillotine. The mapmaker hums as he works, rubbing the figurine against the parchment. Stars emerge, the parchment's symbols flare blood red. He whoops. Thermochromic ink, he tactivated. You don't have the heart to say duh. The figure's pointing gesture now makes sense. A constellation named Al-Niyat glows where it stood. The Arabs called it the artery, the mapmaker says. It points to a sandstorm, drowns his answer, the figurine vanishing in the blast. By dawn, the stones and the figurine are gone. The mapmaker shrugs. The desert's shy. You almost admire his delusion. Almost. The heat returns, hungry and grinning. Somewhere ahead, the horizon flickers, a kingly silhouette winking in and out of existence. Your canteen's empty. The mapmaker's babbling about underground rivers. You adjust your head wrap, fabric gritty, with salt and resignation. Time to chase another daydream. What's the worst that could happen besides everything? The drum begins at dusk, a deep thump vibrating through your sandals before your ears catch it. One beat, then silence long enough to doubt it existed. Another, this time answered by 50 palms, slapping leather packs in unison. Salt bearers straighten their spines, cracking like kindling. You remember Mansa Musa's legendary hatch, that gold-laden parade of 1324. But this is the Sahara's grittier cousin. A bearer near you hoists his load, muscles taut as bowstrings. His chant starts low, a rumble about rivers buried in the sky. Others join harmonies, weaving through the drum's pulse. Their lyrics praise a salt goddess with emerald eyes, a quirky local twist absent from official trade ledgers. You smirk centuries later. Historians will dismiss her as a metaphor for thirst. The drummers quicken their rhythm, 2 beats for each labored step. Camels huff in protest, their usual groaning upstaged. A bearer stumbles, his salt bricks scattering like shattered glass. No one stops. The caravan's rule is brutal but fair. Fall behind, become a cairn. He scrabbles in the dust, fingers bleeding, as he rebuilds his load. You spot the drum, a hollowed baobab trunk wrapped in zebra hide. The drummer's hands blur his forearms, glistening with a paste of crushed galena and sheep fat. Metal sparks fly when he strikes hidden nails, an ancient pyrotechnic hack. Quirky tidbit: desert musicians once used this trick to mimic lightning during droughts. Tonight, it just draws moths. The chant swells, a verse about the moon's salt tears. You try humming along, your voice cracks like a pubescent hyena. The bearer beside you side-eyes the attempt. The song's not for you, he grunts. It's for them. He nods at the dunes, shapes flitting just beyond the firelight. Fatigue melts time. Hours fold into the rasp of sand underfoot. The drum now syncs with your heartbeat. Or is your heart sinking to the drum? Scholars still argue whether these rhythms were work tools or sonic shields against jinn. The line blurs when a high-pitched whine joins the chorus. No human throat makes that sound. Midnight hisses warnings. A camel balks, its nostrils flaring at an unseen scent. The drum falters, the bearer's chant dips into whispers. For 3 heartbeats, silence reigns. Then a child's laughter ripples through the dark, sharp as a scorpion's sting. Every torch flickers at once. The head drummer roars, a dive back into rhythm, so fierce his sticks splinter. The caravan lurches forward, a spooked centipede. Salt grates against your back, each shift of the pack scrubs your skin raw. You envy the griot's apprentice. His job is just to lick moisture from cooled cooking stones. Dawn stains the east, the drum's edge frayed from overuse. Bearers shed layers, revealing torsos mapped by whip scars and salt rashes. One man rubs ochre paste into his wounds, the drum's tempo matching his winces. You recall a hot take from a Bamako podcast. Salt roots built empire's gold, just paid for the parades. The sun climbs, the song frays into gasps. A bearer collapses, his pack splits open in a cough of white dust. The drum stops. 2 others kneel, scooping spilled salt into their own sacks. No prayer, just logistics. The drum resumes -1 voice. Your canteen's down to slurping air, but the rhythm coaxes your legs onward. A bead of sweat snakes down your neck, it stings. You swipe at it, your fingers come away gritty. For a delirious moment, you imagine bottling Sahara sweat as a boutique seasoning. Artisanal tears of the sun, $80 an ounce. The drum kicks harder, as if mocking your capitalistic daydream. Shadows shrink, the drum's voice grows metallic under noon's glare. You're now the idiot who volunteered to help carry emergency salt. Note to self: heroism is just pain with extra applause. The bearer ahead mutters a rhyme about the drum's pregnant belly, his way of saying it'll storm by nightfall. You hope he's kidding. The pack strap gouges your collarbone. You're officially a human parenthesis. But the drum won't stop. It's the caravan's heart. And hearts are selfish bastards. A bearer offers you a resin cube dubbed the Sahara's chewing gum. It tastes of pine and despair. You chew anyway, your jaw sinking to the beat. Thunder growls. Or is that your stomach? The drum answers, faster now. A frenzied plea to outrace the weather. Bearers break into a jog, their chants fragmenting into panting curses. Salt grinds between your shoulder blades. You'll find it in your socks for weeks. The first raindrop hits like a sucker punch. Then the sky cracks open, cold needles shredding the drum's hide. The salt bearers whoop, tilting their heads to catch water. Smart until their loads dissolve into brine. The drum falls silent, its heartbeat washed away. Somewhere ahead, a camel sneezes. You stand there drenched and salt-streaked, wondering if the storm's a mercy or a taunt. The bearer from earlier grins, missing 3 teeth. Now the real work starts, he shouts over the downpour. He's right, wet salt weighs double, and the dunes ahead are learning to swim. You slog through sodden sand. The storm's gift clings to your ankles like jealous hands. Camels leave trenches. Instead of prints, their groans, now glutinous and low. A bearer mutters about drowned dunes. His laugh, a dry rasp in the wet air. Sunrise comes sneaky, pink tendrils curling over the horizon while you're busy blistered. Someone up front shouts, a hoarse croak drowned by squelching footsteps. Then you see it, a cluster of palms shimmying in the heat haze. Water gleams beneath their fronds, a liquid wink that loops your breath. The caravan surges, a sudden jostle of hope and elbows. Your soaked salt pack sloshes. Each step slaps a wet slap. Camels resist, their huffing snorts ignored as humans barrel toward the promise. Historians later note experienced traders watched livestock. Camels never fell for mirages. But exhaustion makes fools of everyone. The oasis swells, juicy details sharpen. Dates glisten, purple fatness, begging to be plucked. A pool's edge ripples, cupped hands could sip eternity here. 30 paces out, the bearer beside you starts shedding his pack. 20, the air smells of wet clay and lemon blossoms. 10, your toes curl in anticipation of cool mud. Then it happens. The palms flicker like a candle guttering. The water blinks gone between one step and the next. Sand reforms, a deafening crunch underfoot where liquid once teased. You freeze, too stunned to curse. A child runs ahead, swiping at empty air where dates hung. Her wail harmonizes with the wind. Al-Kyle spits an old trader, kicking the faux pawn's ghost. Genon got lazy, reused last season's Mirage. Quirky tidbit. Desert nomads once tied camel hair bracelets to infants, said to ward off trickster spirits. You glance at your wrist, regretting life choices. Salt crusts your lips, your tongue a shriveled prisoner. The caravan halts, a tangled mess of panting and spitting. Someone digs a 2-foot pit, hoping for seepage. finds a scorpion nursery instead. Backtracking's discussed and dismissed. The storm erased your tracks. Sand oceans shift faster than rumors. A teen jokes about selling Mirage real estate. Prime spectral waterfront, ghostly neighbors included. His laugh dies when the water bearer smacks him. You squat squinting at the horizon. Heat waves dance their taunting ballet. Each could hide an oasis or a cliff. The mapmaker's apprentice sidles up, offering a charcoal sketch of the vanished trees. For memory, he mumbles. You pocket it, knowing history prefers pretty lies. Noon hammer strikes. Salt packs cement into cinder blocks. A camel collapses, its legs folding like bad origami. They lighten its load, scattering bricks like wedding rice. You watch a boy pocket a chunk, sly as a magpie. Later, he'll lick it and weep. Shadows stretch, slithering east, as if fleeing the sun. The caravan moves, prodded by stories of worse fates. Zerzura, murmurs a scout, the white city that lures men into dunes. Historians still argue whether it was a mirage, a metaphor, or a massacre best forgotten. You add it to your mental map, right between hope and hysteria. Dusk brings a new kind of thirst, one no canteen fixes. Stars emerge, their twinkle feels sarcastic. You imagine them spelling fool in celestial script. The griot starts a tale about a merchant who married a mirage. Love evaporated faster than his dowry. It gets laughs, the desperate kind. Nightfall cools your forehead, salt grime crackling like old parchment. You dream of icebergs, waking to a mouthful of sand. The moon mirrors your canteen, both empty and unapologetic. A whisper snakes through camp, another oasis spotted north. No one moves. Eyes dart, calculating the cost of belief. Someone coughs, a sound like rocks in a sack. The head trader barks you march. The dunes shrug, offering no clues. Your blisters have blisters now. Each step grinds, a metronome of doubt. Camels sniff the air, their indifference a gut punch. You follow, because stopping means becoming a statue. Another sand-smothered cautionary tale. Dawn's first blush reveals tracks, your own from yesterday. The moccasins looped you like a bad punchline. The teen from earlier mutters, desert's just recycling jokes. Nobody smiles. Salt crusts your eyelids. You blink in Morse code. SOS, the mapmaker revises his charts, adding a sketched mirage in margarita green ink. For accuracy, he insists. You wonder if future scholars will frame his delusions as gospel. The sun climbs, your shadow cowers beneath you. Wind picks up a dry rasp scouring exposed skin. Someone spots vultures. They're not circling, just loitering. Bored, you envy their indifference. The caravan trudges, a chain gang of cracked lips. A bearer starts humming, the salt goddess song from weeks back. No one joins. The melody curdles in the heat. You save your breath, words are water wasted. Your pack's strap snaps, salt bricks explosion into a miniature avalanche. You kneel, rebuilding the load with shaking hands. The desert watches, a passive-aggressive guest at your misery. The horizon stays blank, no punches pulled. Your mind drifts to ice-capped peaks, geography you've only heard in tavern tailies. A drop of sweat plinks onto the sand. It vanishes before the sound fades. Moonrise finds you chewing resin gum, now brittle as old bones. The stars mockingly reflect off salt crusting your sleeves. You count each twinkle, a doomed attempt at sheep-free sleep. Dawns an encore no one requested. The caravan stirs, a reanimated corpse. One foot, then the other, the only prayer left. Camels wheeze, their humps wilted like forgotten pastries. The horizon remains a closed door. You walk because surrender's a luxury, buried 2 mirages back. Salt rubs your spine raw, its grit, a perverse companion. Someone coughs up a joke about desert loyalty, sticks with you like a bad rash. You fake a chuckle, it echoes hollow as a dried-up well. The sun approves, searing your compliance into the sand. You trudge, a beetle in a fever dream. The map flaps in the wind, mocking you with its empty margins. Hours blend a watercolor of anguish. Shadows get shorter, temperature gets meaner. A bearer collapses, you step over him. The caravan's rule hasn't changed. Your vision blurs, edges embroidered with phantom palms. You lick salt off your wrist, a bitter sacrament. The sky offers no verdict, footsteps slow, rhythm eroding like sandstone. A bird screeches, or maybe it's your own voice. Nobody checks. The desert files your name under pending. Dust stings your eyes, you close them. Keep walking. One breath, another. The world narrows to blisters and the weight of maybe. Sunset bleeds out. The dunes drink it greedily. Stars return, old flames in a loveless sky. You march, because yesterday's mirage owes you nothing. Night swallows the last hiccup of hope. Moonlight paints the camp in grayscale. Your blisters throb in time with the cicada's screech. A shadow darts between tents, too quick for tired eyes. The night feels sticky, like the air's holding its breath. Then the cry comes. Gone. A merchant claws at empty sand where his spice bundle sat. The caravan stirs a hive poked with a stick. Lanterns flicker, accusatory fingers of light. Whispers swirl. A Tuareg trader fingers his dagger, its hilt worn smooth by generations of distrust. Salt was currency here once. Briny bricks traded ounce for ounce with gold. You eye your own pack, suddenly nostalgic for pickpockets. Someone suggests a urine circle, an old Sahara trick to trap thieves. Quirky tidbit. Nomads still burn scorpion venom as incense, believing it purges deceit. The camp reeks of desperation instead. A child's whimper cuts the chaos. The spice merchant looms over a girl 6 years old, maybe 7. Her fist clenches, knuckles white as bleached bone. Open it, he hisses. Historians still argue whether caravan thefts inspired desert justice or just bad campfire stories. Her palm unfurls, a single date, wrinkled and stolen. Silence drops like a shroud. The merchant deflates rage, melting into shame. The girl's mother rushes forward, her apology a rasp of wool and exhaustion. The crowd disperses, muttering about wasted sleep. You catch the girl's eye, she smirks, swift as a scorpion strike. Smart kid. Dates are sweeter when forbidden. Dawn arrives pale and disinterested. You notice fresh camel tracks veering west, unofficial detours. A guard naps upright, helmet tipped like a drunkard's hat. Your salt bricks feel lighter. Or maybe you're just hungrier. The griot strums a lute, singing of a thief who stole moonlight. His melody veers sharp, a string snaps mid-verse. The crowd groans, a shared superstition. Bad omens cling like burrs. By noon, 3 more items vanish: a water skin, a sandal, a tuft of camel wool. Suspicion curdles the air. Traders side-eye their own shadows. You consider accusing a cactus. It's got the right posture for crime. Nightfall brings a hush thick enough to choke on. You fake sleep, breath steady. The scuff of feet, the rustle of fabric. Your salt pack shifts, a mouse-sized theft in progress. You lunge, fingers closing around a wrist. The girl stares back, no fear, just calculus. Her other hand clutches a scorpion tail arched like a question mark. A standoff. She hisses a word, bargain. Her eyes flick to your canteen. The scorpion's claws click, desert Morse code. You toss the canteen. She drops the salt. The scorpion retreats, a born negotiator. Morning reveals her trail, date pits, leading into dunes. The caravan moves on. No one mentions the shrinking supplies. A trader's wife hums a lullaby about locusts and mercy. You pocket an extra date, sweetness pressed flat as a secret. Stars return, the scorpion glitter of them mirrored in the sand. You count thefts instead of sheep. The desert tucks another story into its endless ledger. The horizon bleeds peach, and charcoal dawns first yawn. Your camel sways a ship in still water. Its knees buckle slow as a falling minaret. Sand puffs where it lands, a final bow. A cameleer kneels, his hands tracing the beast's sunken ribs. 17 years, he murmurs, the same age as his youngest son. Camel milk once sustained whole villages, thick enough to chew. Desert guides still whisper that a dying camel's breath cures night blindness, though no one volunteers to test it. Salt bricks stack into a pyramid, grainy tribute to the fallen. Each brick outweighs a man, Mansa Musa's kingdom, built on such burdens. Historians still argue whether caravan cairns marked trade routes or served as warnings against exhausted beasts. You pocket a tuft of tawny fur, your thumb lingering on its coarseness. The caravan inches onward, no hymns, just the hiss of shifting loads. A merchant's wife tosses a date pit behind her, tiny rebellion against waste. Your throat tightens, not from thirst, but the math of survival. 63 camels left, 63 chances to reach the unseen horizon. Midday sun glares off the salt cairn. It winks like a mirage. By nightfall, it'll blend into the dune's ribs, another scar forgotten. The griot plucks a single lute string, a dirge for beasts of burden. His melody borrows the wind's loneliness. You taste salt on your cheeks. Sleep comes fitfully. Dreams twist into hooves, stumbling through ink-black sand. You wake clutching that tuft of fur, now slick with sweat. Dawn's next breath carries a whispered rumor, 3 more camels lagging behind. The desert offers no eulogies. Only progress measured in sacks, sighs, and shrinking shadows. The air thickens, a grainy weight pressing against your lips. Camels stiffen first, their nostrils flaring at secrets carried by the eastern wind. You count breaths, 1, 2, before the horizon convulses. A wall of dust rears, its shadow swallowing the sun whole. Someone screams to lower veils. The command shreds into static. Wool scrapes your cheeks raw as you fumble with cloth, sand already gritting your eyes. Rope coils bite into palms, lifelines tethering you to the nearest camel. Its hump sways like a metronome gone mad, faith measured in hemp and desperation. Blindness becomes your world. The storm howls with 1,000 lost dialects, voices of merchants, mothers, warriors dissolved into the void. Your feet sink, not into sand now, but something colder. 10 paces back or 20. A cooking pot clangs, a dissonant bell tolling retreat. Metal tastes electric on your tongue. The desert's iron-rich dust, said to strengthen horses. Blood. Guides once swore swallowing a pinch before battle brought courage. You choke instead, spitting ochre sludge that stains your sleeve. A joke forms about sand in places the sun doesn't shine, but the wind steals it. The camel tugs left, its instincts sharper than any star chart. You stumble over half-buried luggage, the cargo, now an archipelago of obstacles. A sack splits, powdered gold whirls into the maelstrom. Mansa Musa's famous Hajj echoes in that waste, enough riches tossed to crash economies from Cairo to Mecca. A shape looms, a trader pressed forehead to forehead with his ox. Their combined warmth, a fragile win against the chill, gnawing through your robes. Nights here drop to freezing, a quirk outsiders never expect from the scorching Sahara. Your teeth chatter a Morse code no one translates. Hours blur, or is it minutes? The storm's belly growls as it passes, light bleeding through your eyelids like diluted ink. 2 camels lie buried up to their necks, living sculptures exhaling steam. A child's laugh rings out, delirious or divine, as someone discovers intact water skins. You pat your own vessel, still sloshing. Victory tastes of leather and lukewarm sips. The cameleers debate detouring west, or was it east, toward rumored caves. Historians still argue whether the Mali Empire's collapse began with lost caravans or the weight of its own gold. You lean into the debate, if only to forget your blistered heels. Moonrise paints the dunes silver, a frozen sea. The griot sings of King Suleiman's missing fleet, ships that allegedly sailed the desert on phantom tides. His tune wavers, off-key but alive. You hum along, inventing verses about scorpions in boots and the futility of clean socks. Dawn comes stealthy, a pale thief lifting night's veil. The caravan reassembles with fewer souls, fewer sacks, fewer certainties. A merchant offers roasted locusts, crunchy and saltless. You decline, opting instead to count surviving camels. 57. Numbers feel safer than words now, each digit a bead on destiny's abacus. The wind resumes its whisper, lighter now, almost apologetic. Your robe flutters, a moth-eaten flag. Ahead, the dunes stretch unbowed, as if yesterday's fury never scarred their slopes. You adjust your veil, taste residual grit between molars. A sandstorm passes. The desert remains. The horizon bleeds copper as dusk settles, the air still gritty with yesterday's tantrum. A figure materializes where nothing stood moments before. A man wrapped in indigo, layers frayed at the edges. No shadow curls at his feet, even as the dying sun slants low. His face seems both 20 and 60 times, fingerprints smudged like wet ink. "Salam alaikum," he rasps, the greeting weathered as desert stone. His hands clutch a staff carved with glyphs, matching your map's jagged symbols. Camels snort, their usual disdain replaced by uneasy silence. The griot mutters about Kel Esaf, spirits who wear human skin, but cast no reflection. You offer dates, politeness masking alertness. He declines with a wave, palm calloused, yet strangely smooth. "I walked the trans-Saharan route when salt bars bought kingdoms," he croaks. A trader scoffs. Those trade networks crumbled centuries ago. The man tilts his head, amused. Gold-starved sultans once traded 2 horses for a single salt block. Now, he gestures at your depleted sacks. You trudge through their ghosts. Night drapes camp, conversation turns to firelight confessionals. The stranger claims Janae's mud bricks once held crushed cowrie shells for luck. "Find one," he whispers, "and you'll see eyes in the walls." Someone snickers until a merchant's son produces a spiral shell from his pocket. Laughter dies quicker than kindling. He speaks of Timbuktu's libraries, leather-bound manuscripts dissolved by humidity. Words melting off pages like honey, he murmurs. Scholars licked the vellum, trying to taste wisdom. Your scribe shudders, clutching his untouched inkpot. A joke about bad seasoning floats through the dark. Nervous chuckles ripple. Historians still argue whether Mansa Musa's Mali empire fell from drought, greed, or too many heirs squabbling like jackals. The stranger swirls his mint tea, steam framing his face. Empires end when camels outnumber storytellers, he shrugs. The griot glares, then hastily resumes strumming his ngoni. Midnight's chill bites. The camp huddles closer. The man produces a lambskin pouch. Inside, glass beads from Venice outnumber local stone ones. Europeans traded these trash trinkets for African gold, he snorts. The original con artists. A merchant examines them, admits his grandmother swore Venetian glass cured gout. Debate erupts between pragmatism and pride. Dawn arrives, streaks of rose gold dissolving the stars. The coffee kettle steams, but the stranger's spot sits empty. No indigo shreds caught on thorn bushes, no footprints trailing toward dunes. Just a single cowrie shell left in the ashes, its ridges curled like a closed eye. The griot mutters verses about vanishing guides, mythical or mad. You pocket the shell, half expecting warmth. The caravan resumes its march, sun already leaching moisture from cracked lips. Ahead, the dunes shift, patient and perpetual. Somewhere, a lute string snaps, its twang lost to the wind's enduring whisper. Sunset paints the dunes bloody, your shadow stretches long as a giant's finger. A jagged silhouette ruptures the horizon, crumbled pillars thrust upward like broken teeth. The griot gasps, Caesar draw, he mutters. Cities forgotten by even the sand's memory. Camels balk, their nostrils flare at the scent of ancient stone. You approach each step sinking deeper as the dune slopes downward. Walls emerge once tapered and proud, now slumped. Someone coughs, the sound echoes thrice. Too many times. Sand cascades from cracks, revealing a carving. A robed figure holds aloft a salt block, its surface etched with sun rays. Historians agree Mansa Musa's pilgrimage to Mecca shook economies. But murals like these suggest grander, stranger ambitions. The scribe pokes a fresco, licks his finger. Still tastes briny, he croaks. A joke about his new diet dies on your tongue. The healer scrapes a wall with her dagger, pale grains glitter in her palm. Purer than our cargo, she whispers. Salt mined here could have bought an army. But why abandon such wealth? A child ducks through a fissure, returns wide-eyed. Ghosts drew pictures. You follow, choking on centuries of grit. Faded ochre figures spiral across the ceiling, traders bowing to a faceless king. One panel shows camels kneeling before a salt monolith, a ceremony or a surrender. Archaeologists found similar sites near Todani's mines, though none this far east. The griot traces a glyph, a half-moon cradling a star. Tuareg rebels used this mark during Mali's civil wars, he murmurs. Odd, the empire fell 400 years before their uprising. Someone snickers, maybe time's drunk here. The joke doesn't stick. You find a courtyard, a shattered sundial tilts mid-collapse. Noon light strikes its corroded bronze etchings flare to life. 12 camels, 12 arrows, 12 something scrubbed away. Historians still argue whether these ruins were trading posts, temples, or tombs for salt barons. The answer's likely yes. To all three, empires love multi-purpose real estate. A scout whistles, you climb a fractured stairwell. The view steals breath, dunes ripple in every direction. But here, flat stone stretches further than the eye sees. A salt pan. Now you understand. They mined it dry. Greed's an old bedfellow in the desert. It just leaves faster than water. The scribe finds a mosaic, tilework depicting a golden scorpion. Protector deity, the griot insists. Or the world's first pest control ad, a merchant quips. The laugh feels good, until wind shrieks through gaps in the walls. A harmonic hum rises, low and resonant. The healer swears it's the salt vibrating. Camels bolt kicking up storms of grit. Dusk slinks in, the ruins shift from amber to bruised purple. You spot a stone trough carved with channels, experimental runoff systems, ritual offering drains. Either way, it now cradles bones, goat or human. No one lingers to check. The griot hums a Mali court hymn, notes bouncing oddly off concave walls. Legends claim certain frequencies make buried salt sing. You hear only wind. Still, your nape prickles, as if the citadel's waiting for a harmony it lost centuries ago. Campfires flicker in the courtyard, shadows writhe on salt-encrusted bricks. The merchant's son finds a coin dated 1324, Mansa Musa's Hajj year. Worth anything, he asks. Only if you enjoy disappointing collectors, you sigh. He pockets it anyway. Hope outlives empires here. Moonrise reveals what daylight hid, faint handprints on a parapet. Dozens, some child-sized. The healer notes palm lines etched into the salt, too deliberate for erosion. A quirky theory floats. Maybe workers left signatures in mineral, or maybe exhaustion breeds strange art. Either way, it's humbling. Your own name would vanish quicker. Dawn arrives, you're eager to leave. The citadel feels less discovered than tolerated. As the caravan retreats, someone shouts. You turn, the ruins now show a new silhouette. A towering figure etched by shadows, arm raised as if waving or warning. One blink, it's just rubble again. The griot whispers of cities that wander, chasing caravans foolish enough to glance back. You face forward. Ahead, the dunes. Behind, a myth refurbished. Salt grinds between your teeth. It tastes like a punchline without a joke. The sun hangs low, a burnt orange wafer dissolving into the dunes. Someone shouts, water. And the caravan lurches west, 33 pairs of cracked lips, imagining cool gulps. You reach the cistern after midnight, its circular mouth choked with sand. Digging takes hours, hands clawing, until fingernails split. The first dipperful emerges thick, swirling with sediment. A guard jokes its Sahara tea, adds scorpions for flavor. No one laughs. The healer sniffs the sludge, wrinkles her nose. Drinkable, she lies. You sip, its brine sharp enough to make your eyes water. Legends claim Mansa Musa's pilgrimage flooded Cairo with so much gold it devalued currency for years. But out here, liquidity's a cruel pun. A camel handler uncovers an ostrich egg buried near the well, turned into an ancient canteen by some desert pragmatist. Inside, dust, a dead beetle, and the faintest smell of lemon. VIP flask, the scribe deadpans, for VIPs who enjoy beetle garnish. A smile cracks your cheeks, it stings. The moon watches as you ration out gulps. Each sip feels like betrayal, promise against reality. Historians still argue whether Musa's wealth flowed more from salt or gold. Tonight, you trade both for one clean mouthful. Dawn exposes the truth. The cistern's sides are lined with finger grooves, thousands of them scored into stone by desperate hands over centuries. The griot murmurs a ballad about lovers who carved their names here. They drank the well dry, he sighs. Even their ghosts died thirsty. Your tongue feels foreign, a dried sponge lodged in your mouth. The merchant's son suggests drinking camel urine. The healer vetoes this, herbs or not. Desperation's a poor pharmacist. You press onward, leaving the cistern to its slow suffocation by sand. The next hours blur a fever dream of swaying camel humps and shimmering horizons. Your canteen's a liar, always lighter than it should be. At midday, you spot a stunted acacia, its trunk scarred by axe marks. Someone harvested its water-storing roots long ago. Nature's vault robbed. A scout trips over a half-buried amphora, its sealed belly sloshes. The caravan crowds around as he pries it open. Rancid palm wine, fumes punch the air. Vintage disappointment, groans the scribe. The griot dares a sip, spits it out as the vessel shatters on stone. Purple stains spread like a phantom oasis. Nightfall brings cold clarity. The stars mock you, glittering above a waterless earth. You suck pebbles to summon spit, an old Tuareg trick. It works, if working means tasting decades of G-O-A-T, Chinese letter grit. The scribe scribbles by firelight, a will, a grocery list. His handwritings devolved into frantic spikes. Carbonated springs under the desert, he mutters. Champagne aquifers. I read it in the fire dies before he finishes. No one bothers relighting it. Dawn's first rays reveal footprints circling the camp bare and small. A child's. Your group has none. The healer swears they weren't there last night. Dune sprites, the griot shrugs. They pace until travelers share water. You've none to give. The prints fade by midday. Your lips split when you cough. A fleck of blood blooms on your sleeve. Salt stings the fresh cuts. Camels low in that mournful way they know. The merchant's son hums a Mali lullaby, off-key, but familiar. Eyes close across the caravan. Sleep invites visions of overflowing goblets, torture in 4K detail. You drift off imagining the weight of a watermelon, juice dripping down your chin. The real desert hears you. It doesn't care. The wind carries voices that aren't there, whispers snagging your cloak like beggars' fingers. Above, the Milky Way sprawls like a cracked salt flat. The mapmaker kneels, his brass astrolabe catching starlight in dented grooves. The bull's eye bleeds, he mutters. You follow his trembling finger. Aldebaran glows, faintly red through the dust haze. Someone coughs, a sound like papyrus tearing. The healer grinds dried acacia bark into a powder that'll do nothing. Bedouin once brewed this for sore throats, she offers. Historians still argue whether Arabian nomads ever crossed this deep into Mali's reach. Tonight, geography's a failed concept. The mapmaker traces constellations only he recognizes, his fingertip etching shapes in the sand. See, the vulture's wing bends south, but the serpent's tongue says east. His breath reeks of desperation and garlic. You squint, stars blur into a child's connect-the-dots puzzle. A camelman snorts. Astrologies for rich fools with roof gardens. The griot counters with a legend. Mansa Musa's grandfather allegedly diverted a caravan based on dreamt star maps. They found an underground river or a mass grave. Stories disagree. Dry grass crackles underfoot as you approach the mapmaker. His tools lie scattered, a compass, cracked like an egg, parchment scraps, weighted with stones. The astrolabe's dial quivers. No breeze moves it. The stars, they're rearranging, he whispers. You humor him until Orion's belt knots itself into a crude arrow pointing west. The scribe peers over your shoulder, ink-stained fingers clutching his ledger. I've read about this. Medieval Persians wrote of wandering stars. That, he falters. Okay, maybe it was a weed-induced footnote. His chuckle dies when the mapmaker grabs his wrist. Feel that. A vibration thrums through the ground, not a tremor, but a low hum. The camels stamp, their bells jangling a dissonant chorus. You press your palm to the earth. It thrums like the throat of a sleeping giant. The mapmaker scrambles to his feet, sand cascading from his robes. They're guardians. The sigils. We're trespassing in a celestial ledger. His metaphors crumble under collective skepticism. The merchant's son mimics a lute, plucking imaginary strings. O wise stars, shall we pack sunscreen or despair? Dawn bleeds into the sky. The stars cling like reluctant drunkards. As sunlight erases the vulture's wing, the mapmaker gasps. A jagged line etches itself across the horizon, dunes aligned into an arrow pointing nowhere or everywhere. The griot mutters a prayer to long-dead river gods. You examine the astrolabe. Its enginings depict a king offering a scroll to the North Star. Mainstream scholarship claims Musa's navigators used Songhai star charts. But this device looks older. Fringe blogs whisper about celestial contracts carved into Saharan bedrock. You never subscribed to conspiracy theories until the sand started humming. A shadow flits across the sun, no bird, no cloud. The mapmaker shields his eyes. The guide is here. Panicked glances yield nothing but heat waves. Then a flicker. A ripple in the air resolves into something humanoid, but assembled wrong, limbs too jointed, head a smudge of afterimage. The healer drops her mortar. If that's a mirage, I'm retiring from reality. The figure gestures, a motion like unspooling thread. Your canteen vibrates. The last sip of briny water dances inside. When you blink, the being unravels into dust devils. Camp devolves into chaos. The scribe documents everything, including the moment his quill levitates and writes turn back in tamarind sap. The mapmaker hugs his astrolabe, crooning to it like a child. You order the caravan to march west, where Orion's ghost arrow pointed. By midday, you regret it. The dunes here undulate like a furious sea frozen midstorm. Each step sinks deeper, your calves scream. The mapmaker claims the sands whispering. You hear only the thud of your own pulse. The merchant's son finds it first, a stone pillar, half buried in grit. Its carvings show stick-figure traders bowing to a star with too many points. Tourist trap, he sneers. The griot traces the hieroglyphs. This dialect's extinct, but that symbol, he taps a spiral eye, means library or mouth. As shadows lengthen, the hum returns stronger now. A camel collapses, foam speckling its nostrils. The mapmaker insists it's vibrational asphyxiation. The healer rolls her eyes. It's dehydration. Occam's razor, Starboy. Night falls with indecent speed. The mapmaker's hands shake as he aligns his tools. Pleiades shifted 2 degrees since last night. The scribe groans. Congrats, you've discovered Earth's rotation. Silence follows. Even the wind holds its breath. That's when the stars go out. Not clouds, total blackness. Someone whimpers. A child's voice, but your group has no children. The darkness weighs physical, pressing your temples. The griot's ballad falters. Metal clinks, the astrolabe hits the sand. Light returns in a supernova glare. You're blind for 3 heartbeats. Vision clears to reveal new dunes and a massive stone archway where none stood before. Its lintel bears that same spiral eye from the pillar. The mapmaker weaves toward it, trance-like. His palm meets the stone. A sound like grinding teeth shakes the earth. Sand cascades from the arch, revealing chambers below. Cold air wafts up, it smells of wet clay and burnt honey. The scribe edges closer. Underground cities were just a myth. The griot corrects him. Medieval Arab texts described subterranean metropolises beneath the Sahara. Most academics dismiss them as allegory. The hum swells, now a drone in your molars. You take the first step down, sand whispering through the archway. Torchlight reveals steps carved with star maps and warnings. The mapmaker deciphers one, even shadows thirst. Behind you, the caravan debates whether to follow. Ahead, the dark swallows your feeble light whole. The stone archway exhales stale air, your torch gutters as you descend. Steps worn smooth by centuries of boots loop downward, a corkscrew into the earth. The mapmaker's astrolabe glints ahead, each metallic ping echoing like a coin dropped in a tomb. Someone mutters about Plato's cave myth. You almost snap that the Sahara ain't Greece. Sand trickles into your collar, cold and insistent. The scribe documents each step. Step 43, slight mildew scent. Step 44, regretting breakfast. His ink freezes mid-word, a jagged blotch devouring the page. Ahead, a cavern yawns. Pillars carved with ibis-headed gods prop up a ceiling lost to shadow. Your torchlight skitters across mosaics, Mansa Musa's face, tiled in lapis lazuli and malachite. Mainstream guides call him the king of gold hoarding. But here, his eyes weep amber tears. A voice rasps from the dark, 3 dinars per sip. The merchant's son yelps his dagger clattering. A figure steps into the light gaunt, robes fraying into cobwebs. His goatskin sloshes, The sound makes your tongue swell. Water's price just doubled. The trader croaks, hollow sockets glinting. Historians still argue whether Musa's salt routes hosted extortionists or saints. This guy's resume leans toward bandit. The mapmaker offers a silver ring. The trader sniffs it. Flea market trash. He points at your pouch. Musa's gold demands tribute, even here. You toss a coin. His grin reveals teeth filed to points. The water tastes of stagnant ponds and lies. The scribe sputters. I've read about this. Desert traders used hallucinogenic wells, too. The griot elbows him silent. As you drink, mosaics shift. Musa's tiled hand extends toward a chest in the shadows. Fringe theorists claim Saharan nomads buried karma vaults, riches that curse any thief. You notice the padlocks shaped like a scorpion. The trader chuckles, a dry rattle. Good eye. That chest once held Pharaoh Amenemhat's toenail clippings. He winks or blinks. Impossible to tell. Now it's just sand and regret. Your camel puller touches the lid. It hisses open. Coins cascade, each stamped with a ruler's profile. None match known dynasties. One bears your face. Trick of the light, the trader rasps, but he's backing away. The mapmaker's astrolabe spins wildly, needle whimpering like a whipped dog. When you turn, the trader's gone. His goatskin lies deflated, a snake's shed skin. You press onward. Mosaics now show caravans marching into comet tails. The air thickens. Each breath coats your teeth in grit. The scribe's ledger entry bloats, with mold ink becoming beetles that skitter into cracks. Sunlight stabs your eyes. As you emerge, dunes stretch unchanged. Vultures orbit a dark smudge ahead. The griot sings a lament for travelers who meet their shadow too soon. Approaching, you find the trader's body. His emptied sockets watch the sky, mouth crammed with gold coins. No footprints circle him, save the scuttle marks of scorpions. The merchant's son pockets a dinar. It burns his palm black. He swears the desert's heartbeat quickens. You almost agree until the scribe coughs. Psst. A child perches on a dune, her silhouette warped by heat. She tosses a date pit that sprouts into a thorny shrub. Follow the birds, her voice echoes, though her lips don't move. The vultures bank westward. Chucker partridges scatter from their path. Some scholars insist Musa's missing caravan carried bejeweled quail for sport. The griot murmurs, only fools trust birds that feast on regrets. Your canteen weighs nothing now. As the sun bleaches bones white, you count 17 coin-shaped shadows beneath the sand. 18. 19. The dunes reset their arithmetic with each gust. Your boots sink into powder-fine sand, each step a labor as the horizon shivers. A ribbed dune parts like theater curtains, revealing a lone figure robed in wind-whipped stone. Her crown glimmers not gold, but jagged salt crystals weeping down weathered cheeks. The griot kneels, fingers brushing glyphs at her base. Behold the salt queen, guardian of forgotten roads. Mainstream scrolls call her a myth, but here grit clings to her sorrow. A bead of brine traces your lip. The air hums with brine and burnt honey. Sunlight fractures through her crown, casting prismatic snakes that writhe across the sand. The scribe squints at inscriptions. This dialect predates Mansa Musa's pilgrimage, maybe even Sundiata's empire. His quiver betrays all rare for a man who once called camels overrated mules. Historians still argue whether she governed real caravans or merely legends gilt. You circle her base, sand crunching like shattered glass. Up close, her tears aren't liquid, each a thumb-sized crystal vibrating faintly. The merchant's sun pockets one. It combusts into white ash before his gasp fades. Fools, the griot smirks. They say her weeping birthed the Segu salt flats. He's half right. Geologists found barite veins here matching her tears. Fringe blogs claim chewing them reveals visions, but you're not volunteering. A hot gust shrieks through her crown notes, harmonizing into a woman's hum. It's Tara in ancient Soninke, a lullaby for dying camels. The scribe scribbles furiously, ink curdling into tiny salt pans on the parchment. Shadows stretch wrong here, your outline elongates eastward, while the sun hangs west. The griot tosses a date pit, it arcs, then plunges upward into the sky. Her realm rejects logic, he shrugs, as if discussing bad wine. You press a palm to her foot, cold seeps through calluses. Mosaics flare behind your lids, caravans dissolving into salt clouds. A king bowing to the statue's living twin, her stone lips part. You carry too many endings. The vision snaps, the scribes shaking you. You screamed in old Monde, something about moths and debt. Above, vultures spiral, forming a funnel that touches her crown. Their screeches morph into a word, return. The Salt Queen's shadow stirs, detaching from the stone to loom over your party. It points northwest, where the dune sea churns like boiling milk. The merchant's son vomits weakly, his stolen ash now a salt-trimmed puddle. Night falls unnaturally fast, stars smeared like wet paint. By her glow, you spot carvings of pilgrims leaving offerings, an ostrich egg, a spearhead, a single braid coiled like a sleeping serpent. The griot leaves 3 dates, their sweetness curdles instantly. Dawn reveals new glyphs at her feet. The road chooses the worthy. Or maybe the worthy become road. Translation's tricky when salt erodes verbs. You fill your canteen from a fissure in her base. The water's so briny it burns. As you depart, her shadow clings, a chill down your spine. The scribe documents her shrinking silhouette. Subject exhibits possible aeolian erosion or gradual dissolution. You don't mention the whisper, next moon, I taste your tears. The dunes flatten each footprint, collapsing like cursed quicksand. Hours melt into the hiss of salt against leather. When you glance back, her statue's gone, but the humming lingers, tuned now to your pulse. Heat wobbles the air like a funhouse mirror. Sand becomes liquid gold under your boots. Shadows grow teeth, gnawing at the edges of your vision. A camel's whine stretches into a woman's laugh. You spin, no one's there. The griot offers a goatskin. Drink, the water tastes of burnt hair. 12 hours since the Salt Queen, or 30. Time drips like candle wax. Your tongue sticks to itself, a dry parchment scroll. Focus, hisses the scribe, but his face melts into your great-grandmother's. She scolds you in Bambara about wasting cola nuts. Mainstream archives say Mansa Musa's pilgrims chewed those nuts for alertness. Too bad yours dissolved in the third sandstorm. A dune splits open, revealing a banquet table. Roast guinea fowl steam beside mangoes glazed in honey. The merchant's son lunges his fingers, pass through a fig like smoke. Historians still argue whether Sankore University scholars starved or 8 pages of sacred texts. In such delirium, you stumble into a dry riverbed, pebbles chatter like disapproving ants. A lion pads alongside you, its fur the exact bronze of your childhood mosque's dome. Wrong turn, it purrs, voice identical to your first geometry tutor. The healer finds you clawing at your shadow. The sand fever's jesting, she mutters, grinding a root that reeks of envy. Fringe theorists claim Sahara mirages are glimpses of parallel timelines. Right now, you're half convinced. Her brew scorches your throat, 1,000 scorpion stings. You retch, but the world snaps into focus. Stars regain their constellations, Orion's belt cinching the sky tight. The scribe records your ramblings. Subject named 17 ancestors and accused a date palm of tax fraud. Classic stage 3, the healer shrugs. She points to a scarab scuttling over your boot, its shell etched with symbols matching the Salt Queen's crown. They thrive in fever-sond guides for the delirious. Quirky. Yes, comforting, not when it lunges at your nose. Moonlight reveals the truth. You're kneeling in a scorpion nursery. Mothers rear up, tails glittering like hypodermic needles. The griot yanks you back, bad place for naps. His smirk suggests he's enjoying this. Dawn comes as a dry kiss. The scribe shows his notes, ramblings about amber rivers and singing skeletons. You recall none of it, just the geometry lion's lesson on isosceles triangles. Fitting, since your legs now feel like mismatched tent poles. The healer wipes her blade on her sleeve. One vein opened, poisoned blood feeds the sand. A crimson streak soaks into the dunes and writhes like a dying eel. Even the desert rejects this madness. Camels low mournfully as you march. The scribe recites medicinal facts. Ancient Timbuktu manuscripts prescribed onion paste for sunstroke. You make a mental note. Burn those manuscripts if you survive. Nightfall brings uneasy clarity. The stars needle your eyelids, each a pinprick of judgment. The griot hums the Salt Queen's tune, but the melody curdles into something older, a dirge for empires dissolved by thirst. You sip brackish water, its grit grinding your molars. The healer watches. You'll crave sour things now, tamarind, unripe baobab fruit. She's right. Your mouth waters at the memory of green mangoes stolen from a Marrakesh souk. A bead of sweat traces your spine, icy despite the heat. The fever's residue, or the desert's mockery. The scribe doesn't care. He's busy sketching the scarab's hieroglyphs. Could be a shopping list or a death curse, he muses. Sleep claims you mid-step. No dreams this time, just a void smelling of burnt sugar. When you wake, your canteen holds 3 fat dates, despite rations vanishing days ago. Their sweetness clings to your teeth, a taunt or a truce. The dunes flatten into a hardpan cracked like old pottery. A single acacia tree waves, though no wind stirs its leaves. The griot sniffs. Real, probably. You touch its bark, it's lukewarm, pulsing like a sleeping wrist. The healer gathers resin for the next fool who tangles with mirages. You pocket a glob, it hums against your thigh. Maybe this is how madness starts, or how you outsmart it. Sunset stains the western dunes bruised purple. The scribe quotes Ibn Battuta's musings on desert hallucinations. The soul tests itself when water runs short. You'd prefer a pop quiz. The merchant's son whimpers. He's been silent since licking a honey rock that turned out to be camel urine. Stars emerge sharp as the healer's blade. Their light feels solid, like you could chip a piece off to trade for water. The griot laughs when you say this. Careful, they'll charge interest. You drift off counting constellations, Pleiades, Orion, the ever-judgmental Big Dipper. Half awake, you note the scribe still writing, his inkpot now filled with something suspiciously red. Best not to ask. Dawn's first light reveals footprints around Camp Bear and child-sized. They spiral inward, then vanish at your bedroll. The healer sprinkles a yellow powder. They ignite in brief turquoise flames. Echo walkers, she mutters. They feed on forgotten dreams. The fever's grip loosens, reality regains its edges. Sand is just sand again, not a sentient thing plotting your ankle's demise. The scribe notes your recovery with clinical detachment. Subject's pupils no longer resemble overripe blackberries. As the caravan trudges onward, the griot whispers the real cost. 3 drops of your blood simmered in the healer's brew. She traded them to a sand spirit. You glance at your pricked finger, the wounds shaped like a tiny scarab. The heat resumes its tyranny, but now you welcome the pain. Clarity's a blade, and you've never been sharper. The horizon fractures into a jagged ravine, its depths swallowing echoes whole. Before you sways a bridge of pale reeds, each knot tied with fraying camel hair. Historians note Saharan tribes used golden reeds for temporary crossings, their hollow stems lighter than regret. This one looks neither temporary nor golden, just brittle and begrudging. Your boot prods the first plank. It creaks like an elder's arthritic knee. 74 steps, counts the scribe, though you suspect he's guessing. A wind slices through the gorge, carrying whispers in a language that prickles your neck. Fringe desert lore claims such bridges built themselves, singing reeds into knots during moonless nights. You almost believe it. This thing seems less built than convinced to exist. The griot goes first, humming a tune that smooths the reed's splinters. Halfway across, A plank snaps, his foot dangles over nothingness. Mind the gap, he laughs, because of course he does. The scribe scribbles furiously. Subject exhibited questionable risk assessment, Ray, structural integrity. You're tempted to push him. Midway, the bridge sighs, a sound like unraveling rope. Below, shadows coil, not quite liquid, not quite smoke. Mainstream scrolls say Mansa Musa's architects used such spans to ford Niger River tributaries. But those builders probably didn't vanish mid-project. These reeds bear no weaver's marks, only faint teeth imprints. Don't look down, advises the healer, who's definitely staring into the abyss. Your camel balks, its nostrils flaring at the reed's fungal stench. You coax it forward with a date stolen from Delirium's pantry. 3 steps in, its hoof plunges through a rotting beam. The creature's wail echoes 7 times. Exact count. The scribe mutters about Ibn Battuta's fear of heights, conveniently omitted from his travel blogs. A gust wrenches his inkpot from trembling hands. It plummets silently. No splash, no crash, just endless falling. Historians still argue whether Saharan chasms truly have bottoms or just endless middles. You focus on the far ledge, 6 paces left. The reeds weep a sticky sap that clings like guilt. Quirky Timbuktu manuscripts claim such bridges drink sweat from the fearful. Your drenched tunic suggests bulk pricing. The griot's song shifts to a wedding march, which feels like tempting fate. One final step, solid stone at last. The healer pricks her thumb, smears blood on the last reed. Payment for safe passage, she shrugs. Behind you, the bridge unravels strand by strand, a spider letting go of its web. The scribe records its collapse in unnerving detail. Right before vomiting over the cliff, dust motes glitter in the sudden quiet. Somewhere below, a lone reed flute plays. Or maybe it's just the wind through your left molar. The camel sneezes, which everyone pretends isn't a relief. Sunlight gilds the westward dunes, indifferent to your petty survival. You pocket a frayed reed. It pulses faintly, like a misplaced heartbeat. The griot winks. Keep that, bridges remember their crossers. You pray it's a metaphor and not a warranty. The boy stands knee-deep in saffron dunes, a silhouette too small for such a wasteland. His staff tilts toward vultures circling west. 8 black commas against bleached sky. They're talking. He insists, voice cracking between innocence and prophecy. Elders spit dates, seeds, a chorus of tusk blending with camel bells. One griot mutters about heat madness. Children see scorpions as tutors hear. But the boy's finger stays steady. Those birds aren't the common hooded vultures you've seen picking at abandoned camps. Their wingspans stretch wider than a man's outstretched arms. Historians note Mansa Musa's caravans sometimes followed migrating birds toward oases. The ornithology wasn't exactly the empire's top export. 12 circles before they dive, the boy whispers, as if counting prayer beads. Sand grinds under your sandals, a sound like sugar dissolving. Fringe scrolls from agates tell of sky jackals guiding starved travelers to forgotten tombs, gods in feather disguises. You half expect the birds to start quoting poetry. The chief scout squints westward, his map crinkling in defeat. No watermarks, no cairns, just that. He jabs his quill at the void, but the vultures bank sharply, as if someone yanked their strings. A sand plume rises where they pivot, hinting at a path scribed by claws, not compasses. Dead things make the best signposts, the boy says, cheerfully morbid for someone missing 3 front teeth. His mother, a salt weaver with ink-stained palms, shrugs. He's been right before. You don't ask about what. The scribe starts drafting a disclaimer clause anyway. Elders cite Ibn Khaldun's warnings. Trusting scavengers is the desert's first dementia. Yet, when the caravan inches forward, their camels follow, drawn by some dumb animal instinct even scholars can't humble. Your mount's nostrils flare, snorting at the vulture's musk, drifting down part rot, part adrenaline. The boy skips ahead, bare feet leaving shallow prints. Within a mile, the dunes flatten into a plateau veined with cracked earth. See, he points to half-buried shards, glinting like salt, but too blue to be natural. Historians still argue whether Saharan cobalt glass comes from meteor strikes or ancient Berber blast furnaces. The scribe pockets a shard of future evidence for his inevitable lawsuit. Shadows stretch, vultures now mere smudges on the horizon. The path narrows between sandstone teeth, wind-carved pillars groaning in stereo. They're singing. The boy grins, missing the way the healer grips her amulet. You catch a phrase in the gusts, something about ibex blood and moon milk. From that cursed scroll you burned back in Timbuktu. At twilight, the vultures roost on a crescent-shaped rock, their heads tucked under wings like dark origami. The boy leaves a date-seed offering, promptly stolen by a jerboa. They'll guide us again at dawn, he declares, tumbling into sleep mid-sentence. Night falls, the kind of blackness that sticks to your eyeballs. Someone starts a fire with dried camel dung, the luxury campfire experience. The scribe trills about Mansa Musa's famed 1007 BCE salt routes. Though some of us paid attention in caravan school and know his reign was 14th century CE. Details. The boy's mother hums a lullaby, each verse punctuated by distant hyena giggles. He was born during a sandstorm, she offers, apropos of nothing. The midwife found him cradled by a goat. No scratches. Quirky Timbuktu gossip columns ran that tale for weeks, alongside ads for scorpion tail tonics. Dawn leaks across the sky, peach and bruise purple. The vultures launch westward without ceremony, no payoff for their fans. The path resumes, a serpentine crack in the earth. 2 hours in, you find the source of their interest, a mummified elephant carcass, trunk raised forever mid-trumpet. Told you they were talking, the boy whispers, petting the beast's leathery ear. The scribe debates noting this in the assets column. Elephant ivories, worth a sultan's ransom. If you ignore the 9 clans who'd kill to claim it first, the healer finds a tusk carved with Mandinka symbols. Walk with the dead, but don't pack their baggage. Too late for that. You press on, the vultures now nowhere and everywhere. Feathered Odysseus on retainer, camp that night bristles with tense laughter. Elders claim they never doubted the boy, gaslighting as natural as sunset. The scribe's parchment now includes a doodle of vultures wearing graduation caps. Someone's been at the fermented camel milk again. Stars emerge. The boy names each constellation after his goats back home. That one's Fatima. She headbutts mailmen. You don't ask how he knows about mailmen. The desert brews strange certainties. By noon next day, the plateau plummets into a wadi where tamarisk trees choke a dry riverbed. The vultures kettling overhead could mean water or a mass grave. The boy wades in, emerges, clutching a mint-condition Roman coin. They said, dig here. Now that gets the elders' attention. Rome's Sahara trade collapsed 17 centuries back, yet Augustus' smug profile glints undeniable. Historians still argue whether Carthaginian traders smuggled coins inland, or if some homesick legionnaire carried his pension into the dunes. The scribe revises his will. You pocket the coin. Its edges bite your palm like a tiny warning. The boy grins, already following his winged fixers toward the next mirage. Somewhere ahead, a dune sighs, reshapes itself for your arrival. You march caught between a child's fairy tale and a vulture's grocery list. The desert approves. The sandstorm's aftermath coats everything in gritty glitter, your eyelashes crusted with miniature dunes. That's when the boy trips over it. A rusted iron chest peeking through the dust like a smuggler's molar. Historians agree Mansa Musa's gold reshaped Mediterranean economies. But this box whispers debts older than Timbuktu's first market. Tarnished hinges creak, a sound like an old man clearing his throat. Inside, coins stamped with hawk-faced kings no textbook bothers naming. Their eyes follow you, pupils hollowed by time. The scribe pokes one with his quill. Late Ptolemaic, maybe. He pauses. Or really committed forgeries. Sunlight hits the gold. Suddenly your shadow's wrong. Stretching east when everything else points west. Put it back, the healer hisses, pressing a dried scorpion to her lips. Someone coughs. The noise echoes 3 times. Nobody's shocked anymore. You grab a coin. Frost blooms beneath your fingernails, an impossible desert chill. Voices mutter in a language that clicks and hisses like wind through palm fronds. The boy drops his. It tickles, he giggles. Adults exchange glances. Legend says Amenemhat III buried his treasurer alive with the treasury. The scribe lectures, dusting off his Cairo trivia. Cursed any thieves to crave gold until they starved. He hesitates, metaphorically, probably. The chest glints, not reassuringly. That's when the mirage hits, a flicker of beetle-black barges on a long-vanished Nile. Carved priests dump chests into the water, their faces blank as the coins. Historians still argue whether pharaohs cursed tombs or just hired good engravers to write threats. Either way, your left pinky's gone numb. The chief scout hefts a coin. We're weeks from any port. Melt them for arrowheads. His tone says obviously. The healer's amulet cracks, a jagged line splitting the eye of Horus. Nobody mentions it. 3 camels start sneezing synchronously. You pocket a coin, why not? The desert's fridge cold now, your breath visible. The boy stacks gold pieces into a wobbly tower. Look, a money castle. It collapses. The pile forms a perfect arrow, pointing to the scribe's tent. Nightfall brings unexpected petrichor, the scent of rain, 50 years too late. The scribe's ledger lies open, his neat script devolving into childlike loops. Bring them back. He scrawled 14 times. Bring them. His ink pot holds congealed gold. Sleepwalking, the healer diagnoses, rattling her bone charms. They always do. You check your own palms, no glitter yet. The boy's mother hums while sewing a coin into her headscarf. For luck, she winks. Her needle bends. Dawn reveals half the camp's belongings coated in gilt, canteens, sandals, even the healer's pestle. The scribe's missing. You find him waist deep in a dune, digging with bare hands. Another chest, he slurs. They're singing under here. His fingertips bleed gold-flecked sand. The chief scout votes to abandon the treasure. The boy's mother votes to melt it into jewelry. The healer votes to feed it to passing vultures. You pocket another coin. It's quieter than the first. By noon, the scribe's thimble overflows with liquid gold or honey. He licks it, grins, recites an ode to Ra in perfect Middle Egyptian. Scholars insist that language died with Cleopatra. Tell that to the scorpion now applauding with its claws. The curse isn't grand, no locusts or crumbling flesh, just a quiet hunger. You catch yourself eyeing the camel's brass bells, calculating melt value. The boy trades a coin for Jerboa's shed tooth. Better deal, he insists. The Jerboa flees, vibrating. Ancient Carthaginians dissolved gold in drinks for visions. The healer mutters, eyeing the scribe's gold-crusted lips. They also disemboweled disobedient priests. The chief scout pours his coins into a cactus shadow. They vanish like ice on a griddle. Sunset stains the chest's outline blood red. You toss your coins back, they land with the clink of a closing cell door. The boy howls, laughing, his teeth glinting suspiciously. Only the healer's pestle stays stubbornly tarnished. You dream of faceless mints stamping coins from living skin. The scribe sleep sings papyrus hymns. When dawn grays the sky, the chest sits unburied, lid wide, like a predator plant. Nothing's missing. Everything's different. The healer finds her scorpion charm, now gold-plated. She doesn't scream, just sighs, and packs it away. Some curses are shops, she says. You carry them till you find the right buyer. Wind erases the chest's location by midday. The scribe sobs into his gilded sleeves. We could have bought a kingdom. The chief scout adjusts his course, seemingly toward a mirage of Alexandria, or maybe Casablanca. Delusions get touristy out here. You check your pockets, empty, yet your fingers stick together, faintly metallic. The boy skips ahead, kicking up gold-glint dust. A vulture swoops low, snatches something shiny from the sand. It gags mid-flight, drops a Roman denarius. Camp that night's quieter. No fire, no songs. The scribe coughs, a sound like coins in a tin cup. The healer feeds him ground limestone for the gold fever. He vomits a feminine gilded rhombus. You don't ask. Stars emerge, edges too sharp, like freshly minted constellations. The boy names them after market goods. Date cluster, donkey trio. That one that looks like Uncle Amadou's wart. Laughter loosens the curse's grip. Slightly, you wake to the scribe gone, his bedroll glittering. Tracks lead west, then vanish. The chest winks from a dune's crest miles back. Or maybe it's just the light. Around here, greed and mirages split hairs. The healer burns lavender and snake skins to clear the air. It smells like a jewelry store fire. Camels refuse their feed, spitting out gold-flecked oats. The boy offers his tooth collection as currency. Declined. Noon sun reveals the scribe's silhouette on a distant ridge, arms raised like a corrupt auctioneer. The chief scout vetoes a rescue. Let the desert sort it out. His camel's bell chimes, pure gold now. By twilight, the curse feels thinner, a receding migraine. The boy finds a beetle armoring itself in his last coin. Yours now, he tells it. The healer nods approval, her pestle finally back to dull bronze. You drink lukewarm water, taste no metal. Somewhere behind, a chest creaks shut, or maybe it's just your joints. The desert reasserts itself, endless, ambivalent, allergy to permanence. Camels groan. The march continues. Gold's a poor compass, after all. The frost surprises you first, a silver sheen hugging the dunes where no moisture should exist. Camels lick their muzzles. Tiny ice crystals cling to their eyelashes. The chief scout snorts. Only seen this once, the year Musa's pilgrimage bankrupted Cairo. You're too parched to fact-check his 1324 trivia. Stars begin their descent, an hour past midnight, not falling, walking. 7 luminous figures glide sandward, their strides liquid and impossibly long. The boy claps, moon giants. His breath hangs frozen, a momentary portrait of wonder. Historians still argue whether desert frost inspired Songhai, salt frost legends. But tonight, the debate feels academic. One star being pauses near your fire, its form blurring between man and constellation. The air smells violently clean like crushed mint and lightning. Ask it something, the boy insists. The healer stuffs a gold-free cloth in his mouth, wisdom over curiosity. Their footprints linger, glowing indigo pools in the sand. The chief scout prods one with his spear. The metal blooms rust in seconds. Turn back, he asks, already knowing the answer. Caravans don't retreat, they rot or reach. You pocket a handful of star-touched sand. It hums against your hip like a smothered bee. The boy copies you, then yelps as his fingers blister. Trade, he offers his burnt palm. You decline. Politely, dawn reveals the camp encased in glass-clear ice, tents glazed like confections. Camels gnaw crystalline shrubs, each crunch a discordant chime. The scribe's abandoned ledger lies open. Frost has edited his rants into haiku. Gold's whisper erodes. Even the calculus mind brings scorpions next time. Tuareg guides mapped stars on gazelle leather. The healer muses, chipping ice from her amulets. Said constellations graze the dunes during Sirius's rebirth. She doesn't clarify if this counts. Your shadow now sports a faint blue twin, lagging 3 seconds behind. The chief scout notices. Everyone does. Nobody discusses it. Delusions are communal currency here, no sense devaluing the market. Star footprints fade by midday, replaced by mirage pools of viscous light. The boy tries drinking one, emerges with his beard singed blonde. Tastes like angry honey, he croaks. The healer administers a slug of vinegar. Its acidity muting the desert's prank. You find the chief scout scrutinizing his reflection in a dagger. Grandfather swore he met a star herder once, traded obsidian for a song that cured his gout. He sheathes the blade, lied about everything else. Why not that too? Nightfall brings a second visitation, same figures, same silent parade. This time, the lead entity pauses by your bedroll. Its hand, or nebula, extends. Instinct makes you reciprocate. Contact feels like plunging your arm into a winter creek, if the creek flowed upward. It withdraws, leaving a coin-sized scar on your palm, ice-white and pulsing faintly. The healer inspects it, not an infection, she decides, more like a signature. Her tone implies dinner party small talk. Morning frost patterns now mimic Molly's river networks, the Niger's bends recreated in rhyme. Camels avoid these areas, their hooves cracking miniature ice deltas. The boy sketches maps in thawing sand. Look, we're famous geographers. His rivers flow toward the scar on your hand. The chief scout's shadow twin gains substance by noon. It mimics his stride exactly. Stop that, he barks at it. The twin salutes, a perfect mockery, humors a dangerous flirt here. Everyone laughs too hard. Star Sands hum intensifies in your satchel, a subsonic purr syncing with your pulse. You spill some instinctively. It forms arrowhead shapes pointing northeast. The chief scout frowns. That's not our route. He rubs his frostbit ears. But what's north except Algeria and trouble? Camp that night's subdued. No one risks attracting celestial tourists. The healer burns myrrh, its smoke coiling into miniature galaxies. She catches you staring. For ambience, she deadpans. The boy starts a snowball fight with imaginary foes. Progress. Dawn's frost etches your scar's pattern onto every surface. Tent flaps, camel saddles, the healer's prized mortar. She considers this gravely. then grinds the ice into her next tincture. Waste not, she shrugs. You sip reluctantly. It tastes like starlight and poor decisions. The blue shadow splits from you at noon, walking ahead with purpose. Following it saves 3 hours detour around a hidden crevice. The chief scout begrudgingly approves. Never trusting a parasocial shadow again, he mutters, updating his ledger of grudges. By twilight, the frost retreats, but your scar glows when the dipper rises. The boy names it celestial chickenpox. His mother swaps his sugar ration for silence, a fair trade. Camels develop a taste for ice, their breath steaming like tiny locomotives. You dream of walking among the stars, their heatless flames combing your skin for secrets. The scribe's there, trading gold coins for a frozen hymn. He winks, tell the healer I pre-sold her eulogy. You wake clutching sand shaped like a key. The chief scout kicks it apart. No more weirdness, he growls, his shadow applauding sarcastically. The desert, ever accommodating, dumps a fresh frost before sunrise, just to watch him twitch. The salt flat gasps into view at high noon, a vast white void swallowing sky and sanity. Your reflection stares up, judging your life choices since leaving Mali. Camels balk their hooves, crunching crystalline crust like shattered pottery. Even the Timbuktu traders avoided this place, mutters the chief scout, scratching his frost-mottled neck. Called it Lysel Almot, the tongue of death. His shadow twin nods gravely, an ironic echo. Sunlight ricochets off the sodium crust, burning retinas through squinted lids. You recall Mansa Musa's infamous 1324 pilgrimage, how his caravan's lavish gold gifts supposedly crashed Cairo's economy for a decade. The scribe's voice haunts you. Generosity is just arrogance with better PR. The boy lobs a salt chunk at his doppelganger. Below, it shatters both reflections into fractal glimmers. We're rich in mirrors now. He cackles, already forgetting yesterday's star-sonned blisters. The healer slathers ostrich oil on his neck. Reflected sunlight fries idiots fastest. By dusk, the flat becomes a liquid obsidian plate, stars doubled, tripled, infinitely repeated. Your scar throbs in time with Sirius's twinkle, that frozen handshake souvenir still paying dividends. Historians still argue whether Saharan salt flats inspired early astrolabes, but tonight's sky requires no instruments. Celestial roads sprawl obvious and vaguely judgmental. A low hum emerges, not from the ground, from your own molars. The chief scout hears it too, his shadow clamping hands over non-existent ears. Tuareg guides told me about this, he grumbles, said old traders used polished shields to moonwrite messages across the flats. His chuckle lacks warmth. Probably died mid-sentence. You spot movement below. Your mirrored self strides ahead without you. The healer notes your hesitation. Follow or collapse. Standing still dehydrates the soul here. Her tone suggests she's quoted that from a bumper sticker. Nightfall reveals the true curse, your twin's autonomy. It kneels to drink from a non-existent spring mimes, unraveling a scroll only it can see. When you shout, its mouth moves 3 seconds delayed, a cosmic dubbed film. The boy films the spectacle on his dead phone. For posterity's sake, Dawn exposes geometric patterns etched into the salt, hexagons too precise for wind or whim. The chief scout pokes one with a canteen. It disintegrates into acrid purple mist. Nature's a terrible interior decorator. He coughs, his shadow drawing a frowny face in the residue. Voices buzz at noon, not the usual desert hallucinations. These sound like overlapping barterers arguing in Songhai Arabic, a dialect scratched raw. Timbuktu's ghost market, whispers the healer, crushing dried scorpions into her tea. They say lost traders haggle here eternally, always almost closing the deal. She offers a sip. You decline. Politely, your shadow twin starts collecting salt shards, building a miniature great mosque of Janneh. Its craftsmanship shames the real thing. The chief scout kicks it over. No architecture without permits. His shadow rebuilds it instantly. Smugness needs no translation. By day 3, the flat warps perspective. Horizons bulge inward like a colossal contact lens. The boy claims he's spotted a lake with actual liquid water. No one humors him. 2 hours later, you're ankle deep in briny sludge, fluorescing algae clinging to your sandals. Told you, he splashes, immediately recoiling as fish bones surface. Okay, maybe half told you. The scar on your palm pulses, now icy enough to numb your wrist. You press it to the ground, the salt parts like stage curtains. Below lies a submerged caravan, camel skeletons yoked to petrified figs, a mummified driver gripping a rusted astrolabe. His face mirrors yours if you'd aged 4 decades in a week. The chief scout peers in. Well, raid the tomb or respect the dead. His shadow mimes pushing you. You step back, the salt reseals with a hungry hiss. Coward, hisses his twin. Metal meets shadow metal in a blur of ancestral grudges. That night, the voices crescendo, a marketplace roar trapped underwater. The healer shouts over them. Gao merchants believed salt flats were sky burial sites. Dropped their dead here so vultures could deliver souls heavenward. You don't ask how that worked out. Your reflection now ages independently, wrinkles deepening each hour. It mouths warnings you can't hear. The boy sobs upon spotting his twin's gray beard, then challenges it to a dance-off. Desperation breeds questionable strategies. At moonrise, the salt hardens into a pane of glass, your exhausted face multiplied into infinity. The scribe's frost haiku drifts back, gold's whisper erodes, you add your own line. But salt licks the wound. The chief scout carves it into a camel's saddle, his shadow, adding a crude illustration. You pocket a final salt shard, its edges sharp as regret. The flat's hum fades, though your scarf remains stiff with crystalline sweat. Camules plod onward, their groans harmonizing with the lingering buzz in your jaw. The healer hands you a myrrh pellet. For the existential vertigo, she says. You chew. It helps, marginally. As the cursed mirror shrinks behind you, the boy asks, do you think our shadows miss this place? His own twin waves goodbye, sincerity uncertain. The desert, ever attentive, flicks a salt gust at your neck. No goodbyes are clean here, only asterisks in a half-erased ledger. Campfire embers mimic the constellations above, each spark a dying star in miniature. The elder weaver unravels a threadbare tapestry across her knees, fingers mapping its moth-eaten voids. Sit, sit, she rasps, children crunching dates, nearby freeze mid-sneak. This cloth ate 7 caravans. Hungriest is Abdurrahman the impatient, swallowed whole for mocking its asymmetry. Her loom creaks like tired ship timbers, cotton threads dyed with indigo and lies. You note the pattern, interlocking Saharan trade routes warped into snarling leopards. Griots once memorized 40 generations of kings, she says, winding flax around a rusted spindle. Now they forget their own breakfasts. A mainstream fact delivered with a conspiratorial wink. The griot caste did indeed serve as living historical archives under Mansa Musa. A girl offers you a gourd of fermented palm sap. It tastes like regret and carbonation. The weaver snorts. Real drinkers prefer scorpion venom tonics. Her eyebrow twitches, the closest she'll get to a punchline. Threads twist under her touch, depicting dunes that ripple like muscle. Sundiata's apologists claim he unified Mali through charisma. She spits into the fire, it sizzles purple. Truth, he bribed the sands themselves, offered them saltier sacrifices. A fringe theory even Timbuktu scholars dismiss, though you notice the scouts edging closer. The loom clicks a metronome for tragedy. Ask how come by sail fell, barks the elder. No one does. She answers anyway. Queen Amma poisoned the wells with song. Her enemies' camels wept blood. A boy giggles until his shadow slaps him silent. Mystery maintains discipline. Your finger traces a threadbare patch, showing a half-eaten caravan. Historians still argue whether griots encoded salt roots into their epics. You muse, recalling moldering manuscripts in Agadez. The weaver scowls. Argue they'd debate a donkey's farts if granted tenure. 3 children nod gravely, future academics in the making. Midnight wind animates the tapestry. Stitched camels seem to sway. The elder coughs up a story about Spider weaving the first dunes from stolen moonlight. A quirky regional myth involving arachnid looms and solar ransom notes. Her rendition includes jazz hands, an anachronism no one questions. You notice her missing pinky, severed cleanly. Price for knowing when the desert will die, she says, spinning golden thread from ordinary dust. Skepticism must show on your face. What? You think polyester grows on trees? A gust snatches the tapestry. It flaps skyward like a wounded heron. The elder shrugs. It'll return. Unfinished work always does. Sure enough, it drapes itself over a camel's head by dawn. The beast seems contemplative. She offers you a scrap of fabric. The Mali Empire's borders stitched in bullion thread. Scene 1, Crumbling Dynasty. Scene M all, she mutters. Blue dye bleeds onto your palm, temporary tattoos of bad decisions, as the loom's rhythm syncs with swaying camel bells. Drowsiness hijacks the camp. The elder's final tale dissolves into a snore, half a sentence, about singing scorpions left dangling. Her tapestry lies incomplete, edges fraying like your own battle plans. The fire dies first, then the stars. Only the loom's ghostly ticking persists, weaving silence into something almost sacred. Someone whispers, "Do you think she's the last weaver?" A shadow shakes its head, but shadows lie more than historians. The camels protest as dawn peels the sky, their groans harmonizing with creaking saddlebags. You stand where the Niger's ancient tributary once roared, now a cracked scar splitting the desert. Historians note, this was once a bustling salt route under Mansa Musa, though today it's just thirsty dirt playing pretend. 2 paths fork ahead, left flanked by dagger-sharp limestone, right descending into a valley of searing white sand. "Choose," whispers the wind. "Choose wrong," counters the heat shimmer rising from the rocks. A scout claims riverbeds remember their flow, suggests listening for ghostly water. You press your ear to parched earth and hear only the pulse in your own temple. Someone mutters about Pharaoh's lament, a fringy folktale where a water god's tears became this very sand. Apparently he wept after losing a bet to a dung beetle. You file that under useless trivia alongside camel flatulence metrics. Salt sacks grow heavier, they're rough, hemp gnawing your shoulders. Tradition says scatter a handful when roots fork, an offering to spirits of commerce. You toss a fistful, the granules hang midair like frozen rain before the wind sucks them into oblivion. Generous snorts a salt bearer. Now our children'll starve slower. Leftward, the cliffs resemble a petrified army, their shadows dagger straight in the noon glare. Rightward, the sands shift like a twitching sleeper. Historians still argue whether Musa's pilgrims took the Valley of Snakes or the Pass of Broken Wagons. You muse. A guide spits, arguing's what fools do between meals. The caravan splits into factions, teenagers championing the valley's adventure potential, elders recalling relatives who vanished there. One man carves a die from sun-bleached wood, odds for left, evens for right. It rolls into a rodent hole mid-toss. The desert hates games. You find a rusted axe head half buried in the trail, its pitted surface etched with Tuareg symbols. A teen jokes it's a desert review. 1 star, would not trade here again. Another pocket relic, for the will decipher this later pile, which now outweighs your salt reserves. Dusk complicates things. The leftward path glows faintly green. The right shimmers like molten copper. Someone hums the salt bearer's anthem off-key. Camels nibble your sleeve, their breath reeking of fermented dates. You're the decider, a woman says, though her tone adds, and the scapegoat. You shut your eyes, Inhale dust-laced air that scratches your throat. Night-blooming Sirius fragrance tugs you left. Rotten meat musk wafts from the right. Since when did deserts start curating scent profiles? 2 stones go into a leather pouch, one white, one black. You draw the white. Left it is. The caravan groans into motion, only for a jackal to dart across the path. It pauses, cocks its head, then sprints right. Subtle, someone mutters. Real subtle. The cliffs close in their stratified layers whisper of oceans older than kingdoms. A scout spots vultures roosting in crags. Not ominous at all, you deadpan, just the desert's welcoming committee. At camp, someone discreetly retraces the path, scattering millet to mark the route. Dawn reveals the grains replaced by tiny bone shards. The guide shrugs. Deserts just being thrifty. Bones work better than breadcrumbs. The air grows denser, each breath a labor. A camel driver swears the salt now smells of burnt hair. You don't contradict him, but make a mental note to check for fever later. Sunset brings a chromatic prank. The sky bleeds indigo, while the sands blush neon pink. It's like walking through a bruise, groans a teen. His mother counters, bruises fade. This place, it renovates. Moonrise unveils the truth. You've spiraled back to the fork. The rightward path winks under lunar light, untouched by footprints. The salt you'd scattered yesterday coats a nearby dune, spelling runes no one can read. The youngest child starts giggling. We're in a story, she sings songs, and the teller's stuck. Everyone glares. The giggling stops. Sands shift, an unseen tide erasing yesterday's indecision. You count the remaining water skins, each slosh a funeral dirge. The axe-head relic warms in your grip, its engravings now faintly pulsing. Or maybe that's just sleep deprivation. No one mentions the debate anymore. When dawn comes pale and indifferent, you'll walk until your shadow dissolves, until the sand forgets your name, until the salt runs out. Heat bends the air into liquid glass. Your shadow pools like spilled ink. The girl appears at dawn small and silent as a skipped heartbeat. Her feet leave no prints, sand filling each step before you blink. Historians agree Mansa Musa's pilgrimage flooded Cairo with gold. But none mention children who trade in miracles. She presses a clay vial into your palm, rough as a scorpion's back. Inside sloshes a single drop, swollen and defiant against the desert's thirst. A fringe desert cult once believed rain could be trapped in clay, souls condensed into liquid. You almost laugh, until the droplet catches the light, shimmering like a tiny supernova. Drink, you rasp. She shakes her head, pointing to the horizon where dunes grind against sky. The vial warms its contents, humming against your skin. Someone coughs, a sound like parchment tearing. The caravan watches, skepticism etched into sunburnt faces. Historians still argue whether Musa's wealth broke economies or just bruised a few egos. You mutter. The girl tilts her head, pale scarves fluttering in a breeze no one else feels. A camel driver squints. In Timbuktu, they say spit's sacred if the spitter's starving. He shrugs. Might as well lick a Mirage. You uncork the vial. A scent punches your nose. Wet soil and monsoon rains. Memories flood, childhood storms flooding Dakar streets, laughter echoing down soaked alleys. The droplet trembles, clinging to the clays, curve like an acrobat. Lightning cracks the sky dry and soundless. The drop leaps upward, suspended midair, then pops into mist. It hangs, a perfect sphere refracting the desert into 1,000 microcosms. Before dissolving, the girl grins, revealing a gap where her front tooth should be. Her breath smells of tamarind and something older, incense from a pharaoh's tomb, maybe. Before you can speak, she's gone, replaced by a heat ripple and the echo of bare feet. Real helpful, growls a salt bearer kicking sand. Now we've got ghost spit in our nostrils. But the air tastes different, thick and metallic, like the moment before thunder. A scout licks cracked lips, rain's coming. The group scoffs until they notice his tongue glistening with moisture. Clouds congeal, purple-bellied and low. A teenager whispers how certain Saharan shamans sold bottled storms, but only to those who'd stop seeking them. The first raindrop hits your eyelid, cold as a comet's kiss. Chaos erupts, water skins yanked open, hoods thrown back, laughter cracking through parched throats. The storm lasts 9 heartbeats, just enough to wet the sand into temporary skin, but the girl's vial lingers in your grip, now cradling a single grain of salt. That night, whispers circle the fire. Some claim the child was a djinn, others insist she's Musa's thrice great granddaughter. You say nothing, rolling the salt grain between fingers. It glows faintly, or maybe that's just the fire messing with your retinas. A bard plucks a lute string off key. They'll sing of this, you know. The king who carried salt and the rain-bringer who carried. He squints at you. What exactly do you carry now? The question dissolves into coughs. Dawn finds the caravan lighter, 3 camels bolted after the storm, lured by phantom grass. The girl's salt grain burns a hole in your pocket, or maybe that's just sunburn. You glance back, half expecting her smile etched into the dunes. The desert offers only a sigh, and the distant scritch-scratch of beetle legs. Some truths slither through fingers, water through a cracked cup. The horizon sharpens, blade meeting whetstone. You walk. The grain hums. Somewhere, a vulture laughs. The vulture's laugh curdles into a voice, rasping through your teeth like sand in an hourglass. Shapes coalesce ahead, translucent figures robed in tattered silk. Their edges blur, as if someone smudged charcoal across parchment. Timbuktu's scholars once wrote of traders who vanished, mid-journey their souls bargaining passage through purgatory's back door. You half expect a punchline about tax evasion. One wraith steps forward, its face a shifting mosaic of desert tribes. 3 questions, it hisses, vowels unraveling like loose thread. Answer true, walk free. Lie, join our inventory. Behind it, A camel skeleton materializes, still saddled with rotted spices. The salt grain pulses in your palm, a miniature heartbeat. Hit me, you say, ignoring the literal possibility. The specter inhales, a sound like papyrus tearing. What weighs more, Mansa Musa's gold or the dust of his legacy? You snort. Trick question. The gold's long spent, the dust still chokes anyone arrogant enough to count it. A pause. The wraith's form solidifies momentarily, revealing a man with 14th century Tuareg tattoos. Scholars still bicker whether Musa's generosity in Cairo caused inflation or just made bankers sweat through their linens. Its finger bone peeking through gauze points at your fist. Next, why do caravans carry ostrich eggs? The grain sizzles, a tiny spark nipping your skin. You remember a raving merchant in Gao describing ancient canteens made from hollowed eggshells. To carry water and hubris, because who doesn't want a sip from an omelet? The wraiths ripple a sound like dry leaves applauding. The leader tilts its head, neck creaking. Last, what's sworn to salt and buried by the winds, yet outlives empires. Your tongue tingles, the grain's heat spreading up your wrist. Stories, you say. Specifically, the terrible ones that stick in your teeth. Silence. The wraiths dissolve their outlines, scattering into a swarm of fireflies. The camel skeleton collapses, revealing a path paved with weathered coins. An origin debate waits. Were these early Saharan currencies, or just fancy goat bribes? You pocket a coin, its face worn to a knowing smirk. The salt grain cools, now fused to your palm like a blister. You press it to your forehead, brief madness, maybe, and catch a whiff of lemon and myrrh. Some say Timbuktu's ghosts hoard lost perfumes to mask their existential dread. Ahead, the dunes settle into a deceptive calm. A scarab scuttles past, its shell polished enough to reflect your eyes, bloodshot and glittering. One down, you tell the horizon. The coin in your pocket hums a lullaby, or maybe that's just tinnitus from all the damnable quiet. Either way you walk, the moon clocks out. Somewhere, an ostrich egg shatters, or perhaps it's just another metaphor gasping for air. Your left foot hovers mid-step, frozen above sand that's forgotten how to fall. A single drumbeat shudders the air deeper than thunder, older than thirst. The desert holds its breath. Camels stand immobilized, one leg cocked like absurd lawn ornaments. Even your pupils refuse to dilate. Fact: Mansa Musa's fabled Hajj included 12,000 servants and allegedly 80 camels hauling just gold dust. You wonder if they packed snacks. The next drum strike hits your sternum, a bass note rearranging your ribs. Suspended sand grains glint like cursed glitter. Your parched tongue tastes metal, as if the air itself turned to foil. Some fringe scrolls claim desert mystics used drums to commune with tectonic plates. You're pretty sure that's just indigestion talking. Silence stretches, not peaceful, but predatory. A beetle near your boot hangs mid-scuttle, its shadow sharp enough to slice papyrus. Historians still argue whether Saharan tribes used drum cadences to navigate or just really loved improv jazz. You vote for jazz. When time snaps back, you faceplant into sand, now scorching as a skillet. 3 days gone, your canteen's lighter, your beard scragglier. The caravan's a mile ahead, though nobody recalls moving. A drover swears he aged like a president. His camel yawns, ungrateful. Ever get the feeling you're unpaid overtime? You mutter. The salt blister on your palm pulses, now sized like a chickpea. Cicadas resume their shrill rants. An ostrich eggshell lies cracked nearby, its yolk sunbaked into leather. You pocket a shard because why not? Revenge decor. Stars emerge, smirking. That drumbeat lingers in your molars, a phantom rhythm syncing with your pulse. Some say time's a river. Right now, it feels like a caffeine-deprived intern hitting copy-paste on eternity. You walk. The moon's late for its shift. 50 kilometers vanish beneath your sandals. Or maybe it's deja vu in a discount robe. A shadow glides past, too sleek for a vulture. You glance up. Nothing but constellations doing their usual gossip routine. The coin from Timbuktu's ghosts warms your hip, a reminder that punctuation can be deadly. Ahead, dunes fold into valleys shaped like moth wings. A scarab drags a salt crystal twice its size. You nod respect. Sleep tugs your eyelids, but the drumbeat thrums through your skull. Insistent as a telemarketer, you surrender, sprawled on a dune that reeks of expired cinnamon. Dreams bring flickering visions. Market stalls selling hourglasses. A lion cub wearing sunglasses. Mansa Musa face-palming at your life choices. Dawn arrives rudely. 3 more days. No clue. The desert keeps receipts. The stone slab rises like a rotten tooth, jagged edges gnawing at the cobalt sky. Offerings litter its base. Cracked pottery shards, sun-bleached rodent skulls, a single sandal sole hardened into a fossil. Historians confirm Saharan traders carried salt cakes worth their weight in gold, though this shrine peddles lower rent sacrifices. A dust devil spins nearby, hoarding pebbles like a kleptomaniac toddler. You kneel, knees popping like bubble wrap. The altar's surface mirrors your parched face, if your face were carved by a tipsy stonemason. Legends claim the desert listens through these stones, collecting secrets like a nosy bartender. Your canteen's dry. Your pockets hold ostrich eggshell crumbs and existential dread. Best I can do, you mumble, placing empty palms on the rock. Heat radiates upward, or is it the slab breathing? A beetle scuttles across hieroglyphs worn smooth. One symbol resembles a stick figure dropping luggage. Archaeologists found similar markers along the Trans-Saharan route, GPS, for the spiritually bankrupt. Your back aches less suddenly, as if 20 invisible porters quit their shift. The wind carries a child's laughter, or maybe just a hyena with emphysema. A shadow stretches across the dunes yours, but elongated into a funhouse mirror version. Gossamer threads glint in sunlight spider silk. your scalp tingles. Fringe theorists insist certain Saharan spiders weave sand speech, visible only at midday. You squint, nope, just sweat in your eyes. A camel bellows. Its owner argues with a sandalwood trader, haggling over water rights like divorced parents. Mansa Musa's original caravan had a full-time poet, presumably to rhyme thirst with cursed. Historians still argue whether desert altars stored supplies or just served as therapy rocks for camel drivers. Your shoulders feel suspiciously light. Coincidence? The scorpion on your boot shrugs, or maybe it's twitching. You stand no vertigo, despite 3 days of camel cheese and dehydration naps. The altar's shadows shrink, retreating like a bad toupee. A bead of sweat rolls down your neck, then zips sideways into the stone. Definitely not PG-13 physics. That phantom drumbeat pulses once, a baseline to your suddenly upbeat mood. Tip jars over there, you tell the empty air, tossing a salt crystal. It vanishes mid-arc, likely stolen by the same deity who hoards missing socks. The caravan trudges onward, trailing complaints and mirage-induced optimism. Behind, the slab watches content with your nothing, or your everything. The desert keeps its quirks and its receipts. The compass rests in your palm, a tarnished brass disc that hums like a befuddled hornet. Its needle swings lazily, not toward north, but toward the ache behind your ribs where bad decisions hibernate. Mansa Musa's 1324 pilgrimage flooded Cairo with so much gold its economy tanked for a decade. True story. But this thing reeks of pettier magic. A one-eyed trader sold it for 2 date pits and a half-hearted apology. Points to what you should have done, he'd rasped, gesturing to symbols etched along the rim. A broken hourglass, a laughing hyena, a man cradling his own skull. Fringe journals claim Saharan nomads cursed navigational tools to punish greedy traders. You spin the dial, the needle quivers toward that time you abandoned a wounded porter in Timbuktu. Thanks for the reminder. Satan's sundial. North's that way, your guide snaps, jabbing a thumb at dunes, stretching like God's rumpled bedsheet. The compass disagrees, its needle now fixated on a cracked water gourd you left behind 3 oases ago. Caravan gossip claims the tool once guided a salt thief through a sandstorm, only to lead him back to his betrayed employer's tent at dawn. Crispy outcome. Midnight finds you squinting at the needle's new obsession, a star pattern resembling your ex's freckles. Classy. The desert cools, air crisp as celery, but the compass burns your palm like a lying teapot. Historians still argue whether these compasses mapped trade routes or just messed with insecure caravan chiefs. You pocket it, the needle stabs your thigh through the fabric. Passive-aggressive much. Dawn reveals the compass has rotated arrow trained on the altar of empty hands, now shrinking behind you. That, or it's pointing to the fig you regret eating in Marrakesh. Either way, the dunes ahead blur into yesterday's mistakes. Camels sniff the air unimpressed. Your canteen gurgles a wet laugh. By noon, the needle jitters like a caffeine-addicted hummingbird, hovering between your flaking sunscreen and the horizon. Choosing regret is exhausting, you tell a passing scarab. It rolls a dung ball shaped like your Uncle Mahmoud. Fair, you sling the compass into a dune. It burrows upward like a meerkat. 2 breaths later, your pack jingles. The damned thing's back nestled beside your last salt brick. Its face now reads, "Nice try." Faint drumming thrums underfoot. Or maybe that's your eye twitch syncing with the Sahara's sarcasm. Campfire shadows stretch. The compass needle curls into a spiral, then a question mark. Your guide mutters verses from the Quran. The stars yawn. Somewhere, a donkey brays the melody of your 7th grade choir solo. The desert, it seems, enjoys remixes. You drift off dreaming of a lion that quotes your middle school diary, only to jerk awake as the compass needle plunges earthward. It tugs your hand toward a buried jar containing 10 gold dinars and a note in your own handwriting. Stop digging up your past. The jar crumbles, coins dissolving into sand. Classic. Morning light finds the compass silent, needle rusted stiff, aimed at your chest. Someone hung a tiny sign around it. You are here. The caravan moves on. Your pack feels heavier, though you've thrown away nothing but pride. The dunes whisper of merchants who walked this path before, each footprint a fossilized what if? The compass stays lodged in driftwood like Excalibur for the indecisive. A vulture lands, cocks its head, and screeches a perfect imitation of your mother's disappointed sigh. You laugh, or maybe cough. The needle twitches one last time, pointing toward the horizon, where the next regret waits, hands on hips, already drafting an "I told you so." The sand shifts beneath your boots, exposing a claw mark wider than your spread hand, fresh, deep enough to bury a watermelon. Your guide kneels, fingers tracing grooves as precise as a master blacksmith's chisel. "Tuat's lion," she mutters. Legends claim a lion with fur like tarnished gold leads souls to forgotten oases or to early graves. Historians still argue whether Mansa Musa's emblematic lions were inspired by real desert predators or just really good PR for his army's fear factor. Nightfall brings a low rumble too guttural for wind that vibrates your molars. Camels huddle, nostrils flaring at air thick with musk. "It's hungry," quips a porter, half joking, while sharpening his dagger. You recall 14th century Malian scrolls describing lion-shaped sand spirits that test the resolve of boastful men. Great, the Sahara's version of a pop quiz. Dawn reveals a trail of paw prints circling the camp, each depression filled with iridescent beetles. One scout swears they're spelling words. It says, "Hurry up," he insists, squinting at insect formations. You vote for coincidence. The beetles rearrange into a question mark. Note to self, stop voting. The heat warps the horizon into liquid gold. A shadow flickers too low for a vulture, its silhouette crowned with ragged tufts. Your hand drifts to the compass, now warm and faintly purring. Tuareg, traders whisper of lions that walk backward to confuse trackers. You consider trying it, then remember your knees. A roar splits the air, earthy and ancient, echoing like 100 drums. The compass needle spins, pointing toward the sound. Smart tools would flee. This one's clearly defective. Lions avoid salt caravans. Your guide lies, her knuckles white on the reins. Medieval bestiaries claimed desert lions could mimic human cries. You strain to hear, but the wind just moans your name. Or maybe Bilal. Hard to tell. You spot the beast at dusk. A ripple of muscle atop a dune, eyes reflecting campfire orange. It yawns, revealing teeth longer than your hunting knife. Nope, not today. The group freezes. Camels too smart to bleat. For 8 heartbeats, the lion stares, its gaze bypassing your flesh to probe the salted wounds in your sanity. Then it vanishes, leaving a single golden whisker in the sand. Your guide tucks the whisker into her headscarf, an old nomad trick for fooling death into taking the scenic route. The beetles return at midnight, forming a dotted line toward the north. You follow, because when magic bugs play caravan GPS, resistance is futile. The lion's prints reappear beside a sandstone cliff. Embedded in the rock, a feline paw print, fossilized alongside a human handprint. Forensics put it at 700 years old. Fringe theorists insist it's proof of ancient human-lion alliances. You press your palm against the stone, it's warm. Too warm. The compass buzzes, probably jealous. Another roar, closer now, sends a camel into a spit-flinging panic. The air smells of wet earth and iron. You half expect the lion to saunter up demanding tax payments. Mansa Musa's tax code did exempt musicians and poets, maybe big cats too. Moonlight paints the dunes silver. The lion watches from a ridge, silent, as the caravan trudges past. Its tail flicks once, a dismissive gesture you recognize from that time you tried bargaining with a Marrakesh rug merchant. When you blink, it's gone. Only a faint purr lingers, or maybe that's just the desert sighing through a crack in the world. Dawn finds the beetles gone, and the path ahead suspiciously smooth. The whisker in your guide's scarf has turned to dust. It got bored of us, she shrugs. The compass thinks otherwise, its needle quivering toward a lone acacia tree, where something golden shifts in the branches, or maybe it's just the light. The desert specializes in maybe. The desert sighs a sound like dried parchment crumbling beneath thumbs. Your boots sink into sand cold as a banker's smile, night stealing the day's fever. Above, the Milky Way sprawls, its arc mirrored perfectly in the salt crusting your eyelids. Historians tally Mansa Musa's pilgrimage as Islam's gilded PR campaign, 60,000 attendants, 12 tons of gold, but you're down to 3 camels, a half-empty water skin, and regrets sharp enough to carve stone. A dune collapses ahead, revealing a mosaic of cracked tiles. Blue and gold patterns swirl, geometric suns devouring their own rays. Fringe archaeologists insist these ruins mark a Saharan Alexandria, lost to shifting sands. You pocket a shard, its edge glinting like a promise. Your last camel halts, nostrils flaring at air, suddenly ripe with jasmine. No flowers grow here, no rain for years. Yet the scent clings thick as a funeral shroud, trick of the mind, your guide once warned. The desert's last joke before it kills you. Salt crunches underfoot, each step a betrayal of the silence. You remember Mali's miners hoisting salt slabs to awaiting mules, their chants punctuating the desert's hush. But your caravan, gone, scattered like dice tossed by a drunkard god. Only the stars remain, their constellations warped into shapes even the mapmaker wouldn't recognize. A shadow flits across the dunes, a human silhouette with a lion's gait. You blink. It's gone. Sleep deprivation, you mumble, or the 37th symptom of heat stroke. The water skin slips from your belt, hitting the sand with a muffled thud. It bleeds liquid gold into the earth. You don't bother retrieving it. Thirst stopped mattering hours ago, replaced by a lightness, a shedding of want. The night hums a tune between a lullaby and a dirge. Historians still argue whether Musa's missing salt was traded for emeralds or swallowed whole by the dunes. You know better. Salt's a survivor. Long after gold tarnishes, it lingers in sweat, in tears, in the marrow of stories repeated round fires. Your knees buckle, sand rising to meet you like an overeager lover. Above, Cassiopeia blurs her W bending into a question mark, or a crooked smile. A grain of salt grinds between your teeth, bitter as unkept vows. The last camel nudges your shoulder, its breath reeking of rotten dates. Go, you rasp. It doesn't. Tuaregs say beasts inherit the debts of abandoned masters. This one's clearly here to collect. Stars pulse, their light throbbing in time with your slowing pulse. You fumble for the compass. Its needle points skyward defiant. Not north, not south, just up. Coolness seeps into your fingertips. You glance down, salt crystals bloom across your hand like frost on a window pane. An old miner's tale whispers through your mind. When the desert claims you, it preserves what it loves. Your tongue sticks to the roof of your mouth, tasting of copper and cumin. Somewhere a lion roars, or maybe it's the wind gnawing through a canyon. Either way, you're too tired to flinch. The camel lays its neck across your chest, a warm, stinking weight. You count its lashes. 12, 20, 50. Numbers unravel like beads from a snapped thread. Darkness laps at the edges of your vision, ink spilled across vellum. The final breath leaves your lips, not a sigh, not a gasp, just a wordless exhale that joins the desert's choir. Above, the stars sway dancers at a ball no one remembers. The salt climbs your throat. Morning will find the camel gone, its tracks erased by a wind that smells of jasmine and regret. The mosaic lies buried again, save one tile. Blue, gold, patient, somewhere far off, A child hears a bedtime story about a king, his salt, and the day the sky swallowed a caravan whole, she drifts off before the ending. The desert breathes, a whisper of wind through ancient dunes. Your boots sink into sand turned silver under moonlight, a cool balm against the day's scorch. Above, the Milky Way dips low, its glow caught in the salt, clinging to your lashes. Experts speak of Mansa Musa's grand pilgrimage, 60,000 souls, 12 tons of gold dust. But here now, you count 3 bony camels, a leaking water skin, and memories heavy as stone. A dune sighs sliding to unveil fractured tiles beneath. Cobalt and gilt swirl, celestial patterns lost to time. Fringe researchers murmur of cities buried here, swallowed by thirst. You cradle a shard, edges dulled by centuries of sand. The final camel stops, sniffing air sweet with jasmine. No blossoms here, no rain, only the ghost of scent thick, clinging. The desert plays tricks, your guide once said. A farewell gift before silence wins. Salt grinds beneath your soles, each step a muffled echo. You recall Molly's miners singing as salt blocks swayed on mulebacks, songs the dunes swallowed whole. Your caravan, scattered, lost to the whims of merciless skies, only stars remain, constellations twisted into tailies. No scribe could chart. A shadow dances, a figure part lion, part shadow. You blink, empty air. Exhaustion, you sigh, or the desert's gentle hallucination. The water skin drops, golden liquid soaking into parched earth. You let it go. Thirst has faded, replaced by a floating quiet, a softening of edges. Night hums, a melody neither sad nor sweet. Scholars debate if Musa's salt bought jewels or fed the sands. You smile. Salt endures, long after crowns decay. It lives in tears, in stories, in the breath of those who wander. Knees fold sand, welcoming you like a cradle. Cassiopeia swirls above her W, now a drowsy curve. Salt grains kiss your lips, a tang of ocean and sorrow. The camel nuzzles your arm, breath sour, familiar. Go, you croak. It stays. Legend says beasts honor bonds, even masters break. This one lingers a century in the dark. Stars dim, their pulse matching yours. The compass trembles in your palm, needle aimed not north, but upward, always upward. Coolness blooms on your skin, salt creeping over fingers like winter's first lace. A elder's voice drifts through you. The desert keeps what it treasures. Your mouth tastes of metal and spice. Distant thunder rumbles, or perhaps laughter in the rocks. You lack the strength to wonder. The camel's head rests on your chest, heavy, warm. You count lashes 12, 20, 50, until numbers melt into haze. Darkness rises, gentle as rising tide. Your last breath slips free, a silent note in the wind's endless hymn. Stars sway a waltz for forgotten times. Salt coats your throat. Dawn will erase camel tracks, wind scattering all but one tile. Azure, gilded, waiting. Far away, a child listens to tales of kings and caravans swallowed by stars. Her eyelids flutter, closing as the story dissolves into dreams.